Okay, that looks like it worked. That's always a good start. Well, welcome, gentlemen, back to our little roll-by-roll crew here for session 12 of Adventures in Emathan. Long overdue to get back at it. So
Yes.
we will start out, as we always do, with a little recap of our last session, with, if you can believe it, was way back on March 12th.
Too long, just too long.
Just painful. Alrighty. So, a recap of session 11. As the last session began, the party was seated around a large table at the Storm's End Inn with Darum and Diza. Darum ordered food and drinks for all as they discussed their travel plans to Coldhorn. Darum reminded the party that although he was paying for the fare, they needed to confirm their passage to Coldhorn themselves. Passage that would take them on the Dragonfly owned by Windwalker Travels. Shortly after the food arrived and everyone began to eat, Nightingale began to sense the same uneasy feeling he had had several times now. Sure enough, the voice of Lord Baskel began to speak inside of his head once more. "Don't think because you left Evandor alive I've given up. I am tired of this game. Time is up, Bashir. Death calls you home." As soon as Lord Baskel finished delivering his message, a young boy arrived at the table to deliver a scroll of paper that he had been told to give to Nightingale. The message on the scroll said, "My name is Crimson Shiver. I have been contracted by Lord Baskel to kill you. This I will accomplish sooner than later. I have never failed before. You will not be my first. I am sending this note as a courtesy. I have always chosen to let my victims know that their death is imminent. I assure you that yours is." Nightingale decided it was not the right time to share the information. The party next headed to Windwalker Travels, where they met Captain Darius Starsorrel and his daughter Selana Starsorrel. Selana spoke with the party and instructed them that they were to board the ship no later than 11:30, as the Dragonfly would depart at noon. The party thanked Selana and headed to their accommodations at the Good Night's Rest Inn. At the inn, the party decided that they would stay in the same room due to the shady nature of Vargas. Nightingale confided in Douglan about the trouble he was in with Lord Baskel after getting caught trying to hide the note he had received under Douglan's pillow. The party discussed the situation, and after setting up some traps and familiar watches, they settled in for the night. In the morning, Malcolm arrived, and Nightingale asked him what he knew about the Crimson Shiver. Malcolm warned him that Crimson Shiver was a legendary assassin based in Vargas who had never failed to complete a contract. None knew what he or she looked like. Lafferty and Landis had Malcolm take them to a nearby magic store called the Broken Vial, where they met Ralaran Venmore, the owner of the shop. Lafferty and Landis spent some time looking over the small library in the store, and Lafferty purchased a book called Spaces That Don't Exist, a book by Corthan Faraxis on the theories of accessing extra-dimensional space for storage. Purchases made, the two headed back to the inn. Once the party was back together, it was decided that they would head to the Dragonfly sooner than later in hopes that they could avoid any conflict with Crimson Shiver. They beelined to the ship and boarded at once. At noon, the Dragonfly departed for Coldhorn. The trip was uneventful until late afternoon on the cold, rainy second day. As the party went about their business below deck, they were alerted to danger by the ringing of the ship's bell. The party headed up on deck to see what was happening. There they could see that the skyship was fast approaching a wavering, shimmering wall of semi-transparent light. The party climbed onto the forward deck just as the ship entered the light. The ship suddenly appeared in a vast void of space that was dimly lit by an undetermined source. More concerning was the thousands of large flying creatures that circled the ship in every direction. Seconds later, the creatures began attacking those on deck. They quickly engulfed several of the crew and the party, as the others did their best to fight them off. The creatures seemed to be getting the upper hand against those on deck when the ship suddenly appeared back out of the void. The creatures were nowhere to be seen. As everyone on deck worked to regain their bearings and adjust to the bright light, they all started to become aware of the drastic change in weather from when they had entered the wall of light. Giza ran to Landis and pulled him to the edge of the ship. As the two looked across the landscape, they both realized that the white and brown of winter had been replaced by the green of summer. How could this be? As today's session begins, the party and crew are all standing at the edges of the skyship, looking out at the vastly changed landscape around them. There is no sign of the wall behind you. You can see that you are still traveling in the same area of the wilds, but how much time has passed since you entered the void? Just a little bit to recap there from the last session.
Wow, it's a busy one. Well, would Landis be able to kind of use his arcane knowledge to guess kind of what that experience was? Anything in the literatures he's read about, shimmering walls of time warping dimensions? You know that text, everyone reads it second year.
It's second year, yeah, absolutely. Give it a shot.
Can Lafferty assist?
Yeah. So you're doing an arcane check. Okay.
Yeah. Landis will walk over. Excuse me, Lafferty, if I could pick your brain for a moment. It would seem we've gone through some dimensional portal where there might be a time variance. Do you agree?
Oh, quite. That was quite the fright. 1 minute we were there, and then the next we weren't, and then we popped back out. My thinking is that there was some space fold, if you will, that we went through, and then it folded back, and then we came. But yes. Perhaps we could discuss this. Maybe we can come up with a solution. Maybe.
Maybe not.
You are not familiar with what this may have been.
Seemed it would remain a mystery.
And Landis, have you ever seen those creatures before?
I have not, and I hope not to. I had one smashing my face, but embarrassingly, break its grasp on me.
Nothing I threw at it seemed to affect it too much. Yeah, it was quite disconcerting.
The Darius, the captain, who has been at the helm, he yells across the ship to Solana. He gives her a wave and he says, "Solana, take the helm." She comes darting across the ship. Darius comes back down the stairs over to the forward deck and he says, "Guests, I will need you all to please return to your rooms until we know that the ship and the area around us is safe."
I beg your pardon, Captain, but would you not think it would safer with us up here helping defend it?
It's my responsibility to look after you all. Please, just take your to your cabins, please.
As you wish, Captain. Landis will kind of walk with Lafferty.
Douglan takes a long time to go down, like really reluctant. I don't like the way this thing is going.
Douglan, what are we going to do?
Well, they certainly don't know what happened. Perhaps we should stay on deck, but yeah, you're right. Captain's the captain. I reluctantly go back to my room.
As you're headed down the stairs to the cabins, you can start to feel that the skyship is descending at a fairly rapid rate.
Captain, are you descending, or are we falling?
We're taking it down to ensure that there was no damage to the ship.
All right.
Nightingale will kind of keep an eye on Diza and Durham as he's heading down, just to see how they're handling things.
Diza's fine. She's just filing downstairs. If you remember, Durham was quite loaded when the attack occurred. He beat the one off with the stick in his somewhat drunken retort.
Nightingale will be like, Durham, perhaps a beverage is in order. Calm the nerves.
I would agree, most certainly. All right, so the 6 of you are down now in sort of the cabin area in the common space there, and Durham, of course, heads off straight to his room to get that drink that you suggested, and Diza's sitting down. She's quiet, kind of looking the 4 of you over, and like most of you, not sure exactly what to make of the last 20 minutes or so.
Do we remember how she carried herself in the fight? Didn't she disappear?
No, she fought through the whole thing.
She fought through the whole thing. Colin, Landis is
She grabbed a crossbow and started taking shots at these things on the deck.
As Landis was kind of coming downstairs, he'll grab a handrail, and Hero will scamper off his arm and crawl up so that he can spy on what's going on at the captain's. So Landis can kind of zone
up on the
out.
deck.
Yeah.
Yep.
He'll kind of secretly make his way so that he's up by the wheel, listening to what's going on there. The helm, that's what the word I was looking for.
All right. So you're able to see through your familiar that the crew is, they're basically taking down the sails. They're preparing to, it would appear, to land. You guys can feel the ship is descending at a fairly rapid rate. Some people some of the crew are attending to the wounded, or ensuring that those that are deceased, and both Darius and Solana are at the helm. Solana has control of the helm, since the helmsman was one of the ones that was killed during the short fight.
Is Darius and Solana discussing the events that happened, or are they kind of just making the ship?
They just seem to be. Solana has her eyes closed, when you're at the helm, you get an overhead view of the ship. So she's using that to bring the ship in. Darius is just sort of watching the crew's action as they're taking down the sails, and you can feel the ship is losing speed and dropping down. They're just they're preparing to come to a stop on the ground.
Douglan's gonna look over at Diza and say, "A little more than a gambler, aren't you?"
Well, now I told you I was.
You handle yourself well.
Gambling gets you into trouble, and adventuring gets you into trouble, so I've had to learn to handle myself, yes.
Well done.
You all handled yourselves quite well. Well, those that you weren't wrapped up with other things.
Landis is too
I
caught
believe
up.
both Douglan, I think Landis and Douglan got wrapped up, if I recall, didn't they?
Maybe. I don't remember. I think
Yeah, it's been a while. I can't remember
Yeah.
either. I think two of you got wrapped up in.
It did all happen so fast, it was hard to tell what was happening.
Yeah.
I took at least 8
really
of
hard
them
to
down
tell.
myself. I believe there was 8 or 9 I killed. They fell off. It's hard to tell. There's just so many falling dead around me.
Ask Diza, any idea what the hell happened?
Not a clue. I've never seen or heard of such a thing in my entire life. I mean, we were all was well, then we were somewhere else, and now where are we? Or I guess more appropriate question is when are we?
Can Lafferty make a, I guess it would be a survival check?
Landis can.
Yeah, I mean something like if we knew the time of the year, basically. Because didn't we go from one
A
season to
nature
another?
check, I would say, a nature check would.
You want me to assist
But I
you?
mean, you guys are inside right now. You can't really see much anymore.
We're up in that kitchen area, all sitting around the tables.
No, you're down one deck by where all your cabins are. You're just in that central area there.
Okay. Where the spiral staircases and all that jazz.
Yes, and the bed's there, and you're all standing about in that common area between the rooms.
Got it.
Landis kind of zoning out of his thing. You know, he'll leave Hero in a good spot where he won't get crushed or stepped on, but can still keep an eye on them. You know, kind of coming out of his trance, he'll be like, I beg your pardon, but were you guys just talking about something about what time of year it was? Did I hear that correct?
Well, yes. Landis, you know, we went into the space shift, the time shift. Well, we came out, it was a different season. So naturally, it's not so much where, but when. You know, I can maybe gauge something by the weather patterns, but maybe you and I can discuss this and see when we are, if you will.
Landis will kind of lead Lafferty into one of the rooms so they both can poke their head out the little porthole off the side window there.
Well,
Kind of
I
looking
could
out.
also send my owl out with your spider, and we can both look through. Would that count or no?
Looking through your, yeah, you could do that too.
Yep.
Send them out, get an aerial
Yep.
view, see what's going on.
Yep.
So
Landis will still peek out the window.
as you guys are as you're kind of getting your plan together there, you can feel the ship decreasing in speed and then kind of slowly come to a stop. You can feel that the movement has stopped for the skyship.
Nightingale.
One of the crew from the ship comes down the stairs and says, the captain says you can get off the ship for a little bit if you wish. All seems safe. We're just checking the ship over.
Where are we, lad?
We're where we were before whatever that was we went through. But it ain't the same time, that's for sure.
Egan is asking, where are we? Because I know we got a ways out, right? We weren't just, it was a couple of days travel when this happened, right?
Yeah, we were on our way to
Goldhorn.
You were into afternoon of your second day of travel.
Right, so I'm going to ask the guy, I know we're on the same path, but where are we stopping?
We just took her straight down. The first opening we could find.
Do we know the area?
The wilds?
Oh, it's just the wilds. Okay, got it. Okay.
Canada?
Dear
Alberta?
God, we've gone into Canada?
Or British Columbia.
Yeah. Nightingale will scamper upstairs.
All right. The bottom hull of the ship sitting about a foot off the ground. You're in just a bit of an opening in a forested area. They found just an area that was open within a primarily forested area. They have thrown a ladder over the side, actually both sides of the ship. The crew members already have the dead wrapped, and they're lowering them down the side to the ground, apparently to bury them here rather than keep them on board the ship. There is nobody at the helm anymore. You can't see Darius or Solana. They're nowhere to be seen on the deck of the ship.
Would Landis be able to tell? Now, when we went through the wall, we never traveled space, did we? Like, it was just like passing through a wall. We're still roughly in the same area that we came up to the wall, you know what I mean? Like,
Correct.
Would I be able to tell?
Yeah. I mean, when you guys got on, it's like you passed through like this.
Yeah.
In terms of Emathan.
Yes,
but
that's what I mean.
while the ship was in there, you seemed to be in a different space.
I thought we went more like this, but that's just me.
That would just be you.
Yeah, that's totally just Douglan.
Got it.
Nightingale's not going to get off the ship. He's content, kind of just looking over the sides. Anything he can find out of the ordinary that may have been like, scratch marks from these creatures to see if this was like legitimately real or not just some mass hallucination?
The massively smashed faces of the dead is a good indication those things were real.
Well, that could have been caused by, Douglan going crazy. I don't know.
I got a little carried away.
But, give me an investigation check. And
Just glad to get that out of the way. I'm just too excited to pay attention to anything.
I don't
Nightingale keeps walking around the ship and looking at the same spot going, I don't see anything here.
Yeah. There's like brain matter to the right. He doesn't see it. He's looking over here.
In a busy day.
There's still one of the creatures. There's one of the creatures flopping on the deck still. I'm not sure this was real.
What's around the ship? What's the scenery around?
Sort of every couple of 100 feet off from this open field area that Solana put the ship down in is forest. You're just in an opening in a massive forest. There's no mountains visible from the low point you're in. It's just basically forest around you.
Okay. I'm gonna send my familiar just in 100-foot arc just to do a little reconnaissance.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna stay on the ship too. I don't see the reason to leave quite yet.
Oh, we're safe when we're on board for now.
Well, I just don't. I mean, we're in the wilds, and something happens, they take off. We're hoofing it. So, I would
Is there
kick us off.
any crew on deck that I could talk with?
Yeah. I mean, they're all busy, but there's probably a dozen crew. Like they're lowering bodies down the side. Some of them are checking over the ship. You can see guys climbing the rigging. They're doing a general health check of the ship. But there's lots of crew member around that you could interrupt.
Nightingale will walk up to him. I beg your pardon, man, but where's the captain?
I think Darius and Selena they got off to check the underside of the ship.
I'll just wait for them to get back on. Bravery's not one of my traits.
You can see about 100 feet or so away. There's a couple of crew members that are digging graves, and that's where they're carrying these bodies of the 4, I believe it was, crew that were killed during the attack.
What about the clerics? What have they been doing? Aaron and Beth.
They have been nowhere to be seen since the attack.
Douglan's gonna go to their room, knock on the door.
Okay. From inside, yes?
Are you two doing okay? Just checking on you.
We're okay, but what's happened?
Well, we're not quite sure. We went through some shimmering wall and got attacked by, I can't even explain it. And then, quick as you know it, we're back out again. The captain landed us here in the wilds, and they're just checking the ship. Just wanted to make sure you guys are doing okay.
The door to the cabin opens, and the couple are standing there, and we're fine, but for the shortest of time, we lost connection to the gods.
That is strange. Well, it didn't seem like we were.
You can see they're both quite shaken by.
Mhm. Is it back? Your connection? That is.
Yes, it was a very short moment, but it's terrifying.
From Douglan's, encounters with well, not the Gith, but the good guys. He's heard of the in-between. And I'm going to ask them. You ever heard of something called the in-between?
Yes, it's spoken of in the scriptures. It is very close to Newell's domain.
Perhaps that's where we went. I'm not sure. I don't remember, and I mean, because I didn't really tap into the connection, right? I don't think I might have cast a divine smite. I don't remember on the battle.
I don't think you had enough time.
No.
Yeah, you got wrapped up pretty quickly. You were
Yeah.
one of the first people that were getting your face bashed in,
Yes.
getting some cosmetic surgery.
Or you needed any healing?
Well, I mean, it shows 0. I mean, I thought we were pretty low, but
Yeah, somebody did a bunch of healing right after the battle.
Yeah.
I can't remember who that was.
Well, listen, Master Aaron, I don't remember losing connection because, quite frankly, I had my hands tied up. Well, actually, my face. Yeah, it was quite the scar, but the fact that you lost connection, well, that's very, very concerning. Perhaps come on out and get some fresh air. Perhaps it'll do you good. We're okay. We're safe now.
Yes, I would agree that would be good. Um, they they head up onto the deck, and assuming you go up with them, they're having the shock that everyone else had about 5 minutes ago at the absolute change in weather and
Mm-hmm.
the season in
Mm-hmm.
general.
Yeah, this is where we are, or when. We're not quite sure. But yeah, we're trying to figure out what happened.
Aaron Aaron turns to Douglan and says, "Well, when when is it? What time have we arrived in?"
We're trying to figure that out, but I would assume we need some
Now, if
stars.
anybody wants to make those nature checks, they can. You're out now. You can see the vegetation and the trees and the temperature and all, and
You want to do her,
make
Lafferty?
a.
I could assist you. Landis could
Okay.
assist you.
Yeah, that would be
Give
fine.
yourself advantage.
All right. Ooh, nice. You see, what's his name? He's got like some monocle. He's measuring the shadow of the light, and then he puts something up to gauge the wind and the temperature. He reads how hot it is. Yeah. Oh, yes. This is very interesting. Okay. Yes. And the sun and the way the angle hits, and it must be. Did I figure it out?
You estimate that, knowing you are traveling north, so things were kind of regressing towards winter as you moved north from even the progression made in the protected lands. All things factored in, you figure that close to a trigon has passed while you were in there.
Which is 3 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, a trigon is made up of 4 months.
4 months. Okay.
So each there's three
Right.
trigons
Yeah.
in.
In the year, it's divided into three. Got it. Got it. Got it. So, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yes. Well, by my estimation, yeah, I
a
think.
trigon's 40 days, 10 week, 10 day
And
weeks.
and we were in what trigon, and now if I assume we went forward one, what would it be?
You would now be in the first trigon of Newell's influence. You would have left the third trigon of Gath's influence. You would now be into, you know, estimating on close
Yeah.
to a trigon has gone by, just by how much
Mhm.
the year has progressed into summer. It's not full on summer. You can
Mhm.
see that,
Springish.
the leaves
Yeah.
are just starting to come out. Some trees don't have leaves yet, just in presumably in the very early part of summer.
Landis, I am sure of this, but I believe that we have just entered the Newell's influence. Look at how the leaves. Look at the color. Look at the texture. Feel the wind, the degrees. It has to be. We have moved forward a full trigon.
Well, being as we were only in that between for, I say, 30, 40 seconds, that's quite the time difference.
Fascinating. Fascinating. He just
Off in the distance, you can see now Darius and Selena have joined a small group of the crew. They're burying those bodies and presumably giving them their last rites. And uh, the two clerics are a bit overwhelmed by it all, they excuse themselves to return to their room. Aaron and Beth.
So, I think I'm gonna call my owl Pez. So, Pez, during his little reconnaissance, what does he see around?
It's much of what you saw just at a higher altitude, not that long ago. It's just you're in an area that's sort of mainly a forested area. You were still about a day out from before you entered whatever it was you entered. You guys were still let's see, you were maybe 18 hours or so away from Coldhorn. And you're as you sort of size up what the owl sees, you traveled no distance in the time you were in there. There just seems to be, there was a change in time, but not distance.
Yeah.
It's like you went through a single dimensional plane, and came right back out the other side, and you were in it for 30 seconds or so, 20-30 seconds or so.
Yeah, like we only had a couple rounds and they're like, what, 6 seconds?
Yep.
6 seconds. Yep.
Landis will attempt to write down anything he can remember about like the shape of the creatures, like what was the temperature like in there, just whatever information he can jot down. He'll just keep a little mental note in one of his empty books.
Okay. It was just for a reminder, so it was dimly lit, but there was no source of light, but everything just seemed to be dimly lit. It was cold, see your breath cold, but everything was happening so quickly, that fact never really piled up on anybody as you immediately were engaged against those creatures. And it seemed to extend forever in every direction, up, down, just that black, dimly lit. You couldn't see anything else around you guys. Now, your vision wasn't great due to the thousands of these void lurkers that were around the ship.
So
they're called void hunters.
Void hunters?
Void hunters.
And they look what, like a praying mantis or a manta ray?
They look like a big manta ray, almost more like a stingray. Yeah, but their heads had this big bony intrusion off the front where their mouth would be. They used that to just kind of pound into after they cloaked their victim, they just kind of almost like a woodpecker pecked at them until they.
We got intimate knowledge of that.
Yeah, I saw Landis especially saw that into his face a few times. Yeah, he'll do like a quick sketch of what the thing looked like, just so he's got this is valuable stuff to him, as I'm sure Lafferty is looking over his shoulder being, the arms were longer, the head was shorter, approximately.
All right, the crew members, including Darius and Solana, make their way back to the ship and reboard. Darius, seeing Solana, heads up to the helm. Darius, seeing some of you on deck, comes over and says, well, the ship is fine. There is no damage anywhere on the hull that we could see. The creatures that we encountered seemed only interested in attacking people on the ship. Unfortunately, as you know, we lost of our crew, which we needed to deal with. We will be departing shortly. I'm sure you have made your own guesstimations of time. Most of us, seeing the vegetation around us, think somehow we were in that space for close to a trigon. I don't understand what's happened. I can't begin to try and explain it to any of you. Based on time of day, we are several hours back in the day from when we would have originally arrived. So we are now estimating that we will be in Cold Horn approximately noon tomorrow. Dinner will occur this evening at our usual time. And if you have any questions about what's happened, I don't have answers. I am as baffled by it as you are. I have sailed this area of the wilds for close to 100 years. I have never encountered such a thing or heard of anyone that has ever encountered such a thing before.
Nightingale will kind of, be looking around. Captain, perhaps at dinner tonight we can all discuss this experience in a bit of a setting that's less, crazy.
I think that would be the best recommendation. We do have to tend to getting the ship back on course. You are free to mill the ship as before. We feel, at least for now, any danger to us is gone. But please just keep your guards up. And we can continue the conversation at dinner.
Nightingale will poke Douglan in the ribs, be like, perhaps you should say something to the captain about the dead crew. You are a holy man.
I'm not a holy man. What are you talking about? I'm a holy avenger.
The holy protector.
Yes, I protect.
The ship immediately starts to, it just starts going straight up. The crew are up the masks, unfurling the sails, and the ship immediately tacks itself into the wind and starts moving at a fine clip.
As we drastically rise, you can see Landis. That's a.
I don't like rides.
I'll just be lower deck.
I could mix you something that would settle your stomach if you'd like.
I would appreciate that, Lafferty.
Hands him a little vial. Here, drink this. I
Even-
dropped in 2 tablets. They go plop, plop, and then they start to fizz. And I hand it to him.
What do you call this?
So, Darum staggers up the stairs and, well, are you joining me for that drink or what?
Indeed, Darum, I did tell you to get some drinks, didn't I? I apologize. Nightingale will walk over with them and, Darum, I have some bad news for you.
What's that?
If you had a business meeting, you might be a trigon late.
Nice.
How can that be?
We're not quite
He's
sure.
after dragging a couple of tables he's found somewhere and some chairs into that common area, and he plops himself down on it.
Nightingale will sit beside him.
What are you talking about, boy?
Well, when we crossed over that wall of sorts, it would seem that a trigon of time has passed when we came out the other side. According to the brainiacs we've got with us.
He uncorks the bottle of dwarven brandy he has there, pours himself a pretty stiff looking drink, hands it over to Nightingale, pours himself another one, lays it down, corks the bottle, and he looks at Nightingale and goes, "So what you're telling me is that wasn't a drunk delusion?"
Not unless all of us were as drunk as you. I'm sorry. No.
Oh.
You haven't.
He's just kind of sits back, lost in his thoughts, sipping on his dwarven brandy.
I think we all have the reality of when we get to our destination, more than likely we've all been presumed dead. Or missing.
That's a very
Diza,
good
who
point,
has
yeah.
seated herself at one of the other tables, goes, "Well, they're not all bad.
No.
Maybe certain people would stop looking for me."
That's a good point. I may benefit from that myself.
Yeah, I nudge Nightingale and say, just kind of give him a wink. I'm not going to say anything out loud.
Douglan, that means our time frame to get you know what is shortened.
Indeed. I'm still by the way, I relay that Nightingale, you know the clerics, the ones of Goth on the board here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we went through that shimmering wall. They lost connection. Never heard of that. Losing connection to your god.
But what would cause something like that?
The mysteries keep piling up, don't they?
Seem life is never boring in Emathan.
Up until a year ago, I was happily bored. No more.
I was happily bored.
Yes. Yeah, I think we should all maybe get around the table and exchange some ideas of what might have happened and what we might expect to find. I want to pick the captain's brain on Coldhorn and that setup.
All right. Well, you sit about the ship, kind of talking amongst yourselves until the crew call you for supper, and you make your way to the cabin or to the captain's room,
Dining chamber.
where dinner is laid out. Solana is still at the helm, so she's not joining you currently. She is not in control of the helm. There is another who's in control of the helm right now. Solana just seems to be overseeing it as you make your way into the captain's room there.
Nightingale will try to seat himself
Captain's
up near
table.
the captain's end of the table.
All right, Darius is already seated there. The clerics come up with you and are seated at the table as well. And the captain starts. Captain Darius starts out. Well, it's been quite a day. I'm not sure what to say, really. We have lost 4 of our crew today in an encounter with something that I'm not sure I really understand. I do agree with our earlier discussion that it may be beneficial for us all to speak of what we encountered in our time in that darkness, and Even if we don't come to any answers, at least we'll come to the agreement that we saw what we saw.
When the captain says that, Nightingale's like, I even checked. It was real.
I checked. I
Thoroughly.
saw the bodies
It was
myself.
real. Okay.
Thoroughly checked.
So the captain says, I think it might be good for me to begin, since you all were below decks when we first encountered whatever this was. I myself was in my cabin. I was called up to the deck by the helmsman, who could see in the distance an area that was starting to shimmer, is what he said. At first, he didn't think much about it. He said he thought maybe it was fog or clouds, or but as the ship got closer, those on deck could all see that this shimmering was growing and expanding itself in every direction, as high as the sky to the ground and off in all directions. The decision was made by myself, since I could not safely stop the ship before we encountered it, to turn and enter it straight on. About that time, if I recall, you all appeared on deck, making your way to the forward deck, and we entered. The thing that catches me immediately was the sound, the constant roaring and just the unusual sound. But all of the ship sound went away. I don't know if you all recall this, but maybe it was just because of how loud all of that sound was. I then, like all of you all, became very aware of the creatures flying all around us. But before I could even size them up, they started diving in after members of the crew and yourselves, and our fight for our life was on. My question to you all, how long were we in there? It seemed only seconds.
Landis has got his book open and has been writing this whole time. He's like, if I could be so bold to answer that question, my assertion, and Lafferty, you'll probably be able to back me up here, is we were only in there maybe 15, 20 seconds.
That is correct. Yes.
So, Captain, if my math is right, and again, Lafferty, I look for your advice here. If we've gone 40 days over 20 seconds, every second we're in there, 2 days past in Emathan.
That is correct.
You'll go back
It is possible. I think we all generally agree that close to a trigon has gone by based on the change in the environment. We will be able to know for sure once we once we arrive in Coldhorn.
Nightingale will be like, if I could interrupt, Captain, that brings up a major issue. We've all been gone for almost a trigon. So it might be wise to alert the crew that when we arrive, there could be a bit of issues with where we've been, family wondering where we are, things of that sort that should be dealt with.
They're probably going to want overtime paid too.
Yes. We are in constant contact with both Coldhorn and Vargas. We have spoken to both. They know that we are not lost. Your presumption is correct. We were presumed lost. And many have been looking for the wreckage to determine what happened with us. I was not prepared to explain to them what happened. I'm not sure I've had time to digest it myself, but they do know that we are okay and that we will be arriving around noon tomorrow.
Landis, well, again,
And there will be questions.
my apologies. Did we have the foresight, Captain, to mark the location of where this happened on a map, perhaps? Would I be able to get those coordinates?
Yes, you can speak to the helmsfolk. Although our helmsman at the time was lost, we do know where we were from his recordings at that time.
Excellent. Might be worth warning other such ships.
Yes.
Well, if I could relay what information I had with everybody, we all remember it was very dimly lit in there, and it was very cold. Compared to what I think the coldness may have slipped by some of us, being that we weren't really in the warmest of weather when we went in there, but it was awfully cold in there. And these creatures that were flying around, and he'll hold up his book and kind of show the sketch he's made of them. If any of you have any details, Captain, you brought in a good detail of the roaring sound. That completely slipped my attention. I was too busy getting my face smashed in by one of those things to have heard it. It was probably my own muffled screaming, all I could hear. And something that I seem to notice, you said, Captain, there was no damage done to the ship. Is that correct?
That is correct. The creatures avoided the ship purposely. They all flew a fair distance from the ship. We were almost inside of a large sphere of these creatures just all circling around it. And that sphere seemed to move with us. And then after several seconds, creatures started to dive in from the outer edges of the sphere in what appeared, in at least my humble opinion, to be a very calculated attack. The first person hit was the helmsman.
Write that down. He goes, yes, it would seem that these creatures only attacked living things.
They did.
Does anyone else have any information to share?
Aaron, well, I did speak of this with Douglan. Myself and Beth were still down below when we passed through this place that you are describing. During the, as you say, maybe 15 seconds or so that we were inside of this place, we could no longer hear or feel the gods. They they were silent until we came back through, and then all was well again. It was very, very disconcerting to us. Captain Darius looks really uncomfortable with that revelation. The fact that wherever we were, even the gods couldn't connect with us.
Yes, indeed. Well,
Shall we eat then?
I don't know how much of an appetite I'll have, but yes. I might be starving.
All right, the crew brings in supper, and generally speaking, the captain tries to keep conversation away now from the events, talking a little bit about asking folks, what they'll be doing in Cold Horn now that we're arriving um, close to a Trigon late. One of the crew comes in. He goes up to Darius and kind of whispers into Darius's ear. He says, we've just been in communication with Cold Horn, and we have now confirmed that today is the 30th day of the first Trigon of Newell's influence. This would mean that we were inside of this place for approximately 36 days.
Captain, what was their reaction when you first contacted Goldhorn after our little escapade?
They were quite shocked to hear from us, as you would assume. Our operation runs a very small operation in Cold Horn. Most of the people that work for us are on our ships. You will see we have a second ship that operates out of Cold Horn. We were having some troubles. We use sending stones to talk to our various groups, and we were having some struggles getting through to Cold Horn because they were still all out searching for us, hoping that there still might be some way. The Dragonfly's sister ship will be in Cold Horn when we arrive. Obviously, everyone is happy to know that we are okay, but very confused about what has happened. As I think I can safely say, amongst the group, we are ourselves confused.
Lafferty, like not reading the room whatsoever, once he hears sending stones. Oh, sending stones. Do you mind if I take a look at those? I'd really be interested to know how they function. Do you mind if I who would I talk to? Can I see them, please?
Maybe after supper, yes.
Okay, yes. That's a perfect segue for learning how to do sending stones.
So the captain returns to his original question and says, so now that we know we're 36 days overdue, are there any concerns for anyone, any messages that we might pass along to Cold Horn? We will be there, as I said, approximately noon tomorrow.
Nightingale will be like, if I were to give you a letter, would you be able to make sure it got into the hands of the Penumbra Bards?
No, I wouldn't.
No,
You
then.
mean the college, or just back in where would I give this?
I will be able to find someone in Coldhorn, I assume.
Okay.
But Douglan, perhaps you would like a message sent to Tian Shah? Since you have such a tight relationship with your father-in-law?
They're not really going to be missing Douglan. He was going to be gone quite a while, so.
That's true. No one cares about Douglan.
And as Diza said, perhaps those that are after us, right, Nightingale? Maybe it's better they think we're dead. So no, I'm okay. Let the bastard worry a little bit.
Darius?
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Perhaps Darum might want a message sent ahead. If your sending stones would be able to do it, Darius? Or where's his name here?
Darum?
Darum.
You did have a business.
I do have business there, but they weren't expecting me any particular time, so it'll be a little later than I normally arrive, but it won't change my business. No. But thanks for your consideration.
Well then. Seems that this blip is not as disruptive as it could be.
Well,
for us, anyway.
Nightingale, did we negotiate by the hour? By the day? Or is it just the job?
Unfortunately, I think it was just the job.
Too bad.
So, the clerics, Aaron and Beth, they finish up. They excuse themselves, say that they need to head out for their prayers for the evening. That they will see everybody in the morning. And Diza excuses herself, saying, "It's been quite a day. I think I'm going to turn in a little early this evening."
Landis will probably go check on Mud after dinner, after loading up a plate of table scraps to take with him. My dog could be 3 months older. I don't know.
Lafferty would like to see if there's any skin, any, I know we didn't hit him a lot, but we did hit him a few times. He'd like to see if there's any
residue,
whatever they would call blood, a tooth, a scale, anything.
Okay. Give me. So I assume you're leaving. You're gonna look about the main deck.
Yeah, where we were attacked, basically. Yeah, I think.
Okay. So give me an investigation check, please.
I looked, Lafferty, just so you know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Lafferty keeps going over to the same space that Nightingale did. It's like, I don't see any sign of them on the ship anywhere.
Search that spot thoroughly myself.
Yes, you're right. There's nothing here. Nothing. All right, then.
Essentially, you find no sign of them on deck anywhere.
Okay. Well, then after dinner, Lafferty's going to go bury himself in his potion liquid making for, as long as he can to get a full rest.
Okay. So everybody kind of mills off and eventually ends up in their rooms for the evening. It's been an exciting Trigon today.
Yeah.
Today's been a very exciting Trigon.
I think we're all in a little bit of shock, right?
Time flies when you're...
Absolutely. Time flies when you're in some sort of strange void in space.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think Douglan will check on Aaron and Beth and just make sure they're okay before he heads off.
All right, Douglan, as you approach the room door, you can hear they are deeply into their prayers together on the other side of the door.
I'll leave him be.
I am the bus. You are the bus. Who is riding the bus? You have forgotten your bus pass.
Outstanding.
Excellent. Excellent work right there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so everybody eventually heads off to their rooms, doing their things. And being that it was an interesting day, everyone finally finds themselves tired, climbs on into bed, and lights out for the night. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna go to Nightingale kind of privately.
Yes, Douglan.
You gonna be okay for tonight?
What are you insinuating?
Wow. I am sure that the Red Shiver, we hope he thinks you're dead. But seems like a professional till he has proof. Plus, we don't know if he's not on board or she. So you wanna...
I wasn't worried, Douglan. Thank you. I am now.
Well, that's what you pay me for.
I wasn't even thinking about it. But no.
I was about to get a good night's sleep, you. You know what? Nightingale will be like, well, now that you mention it, I will crash in your bed. Thank you.
Oh, not in the bed. You get the floor. I get the bed.
Well, I think you guys are sharing rooms, bunk beds.
Ah,
So,
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. That's
yeah.
fine.
So Nightingale and Douglan are in sharing one room anyway. Darum has a room by himself. Diza has a room by himself, and the clerics have a room by themselves. The end cabin they have.
Douglan, if you can give me 4 hours of rest, I'll take the rest of the night.
Fair enough.
Sitting up, paranoid. Thank you.
All right.
So we'll do a watch. Douglan will be first watch for 4 hours, and then after I'm done my Elven meditations floating around the room, I'll sit up the rest of the night, kind of going over my things.
Alrighty. Okay. And I assume Lafferty and Landis just crash out.
Oh yeah, they don't know any danger yet.
Well,
they don't know who the Crimson Shiver is.
As a habit,
or they do, but they don't.
Yeah, as a habit, Lafferty has a little contraption that he always puts on a closed door when he's in a place that's not his home, and it's just sort of like a little mock-up that if somebody turns the door, it'll fall and make a racket. That's all. It's like a little doodad. Yep. But that's it.
Landis has something similar. He just gets mud to lay in front of the door.
Yeah, perfect.
That also works very effectively. But
it's less high tech, but it works.
Have you ever tried to move a dog off a bed? Yeah. It's near impossible.
Especially a 120-pound Irish Wolfhound.
They just sort of like go with it, and then they roll right back to where they were. Oh, yeah.
All right, so Douglan, the ship is quiet. Nightingale is snoring away. You know, with the swaying of the ship and the activity from the day, you don't really fall asleep, but you just kind of drift off into your thoughts. Obviously, if anything creaked, cracked, moved around, you would snap back. It's sort of your soldier reflexes, but you're kind of almost daydreaming, and you suddenly you sort of, you're lost in your daydream, and you suddenly you open your eyes, you snap to, and you find yourself standing in what looks like the void that the skyship entered. You're just kind of floating there. Thousands of the strange creatures that attack the ship fly around you in circles, creating a sphere about 100 feet in diameter, very similar to what the captain described that he saw. And as your eyes kind of come back around, you see Maggie is floating about 10 feet away from you. She does not look happy. Why have you not come for us, Father? Why have you left us here to die? We are all here, Father. Where are you? You become aware that your wife and other children are all standing just behind Maggie. Anton is not who he claims to be. He will betray you. He will betray us all. Maggie is suddenly she appears directly in front of you, and she says, "You gave up on us before. Will you give up on us again?" And with that word, you snap awake. You're soaked in sweat and shaking.
There is a non-zero chance that he's got tears running down his eyes.
A non-zero chance.
All
right, so I gotta just get you to hold that moment in time, Douglan.
Okay.
Nightingale, you are asleep, and suddenly you open your eyes and find yourself standing in what looks like the void that the skyship entered. Thousands of the strange creatures that attack the ship fly around you in circles, creating a sphere about 100 feet in diameter. As your eyes come back around, you see Nava standing 10 feet away. She does not look happy. "Why did you leave me, Bashir? My father found out about us. He stabbed me in anger and left me for you to find. When you left, he had me returned to life and locked away." A large metal cage appears around Nava, and she now stares out at you through the bars. "Will you leave me here to suffer? Will you leave me here to die?" You are suddenly standing directly on the other side of the cage. "Do you not love me anymore?" With that, you snap awake, soaked in sweat and shaking, the exact same moment that Douglan does. Lafferty, you open your eyes and find yourself standing in what looks like the void the skyship entered. Thousands of the creatures that attack the ship fly around you in circles, creating a sphere about 100 feet in diameter. As your eyes come back around, you see Enibus standing 10 feet away. He does not look happy. "You should have never meddled with my experiments, boy. Some things are better left alone. I was wrong to mess with the void. It is too powerful a thing." A shadowy creature, much like the one you saw inside of Enibus's lab, suddenly appears behind him, slowly growing in size. "You have given it away. Out. A way I sacrificed my life to close." Enibus is suddenly standing directly in front of you. It will kill them all. It will kill them all because of you. Lafferty snaps awake, soaked in sweat and shaking. And finally, Landis.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
I'll take a hard pass.
I was on roofies all night. I didn't sleep a wink.
Landis, not surprisingly, you open your eyes and find yourself standing in what looks like the void the skyship entered. Thousands of the strange creatures that attacked you fly around you in circles, creating a sphere about 100 feet in diameter. As your eyes come back around, you see Obadiah standing about 10 feet away. He does not look happy. Why did you let them destroy our good name? Should have fought harder to find the truth. Now all may be lost. Obadiah puts his hands up to his face, and as he removes them, a doom's mask appears. The truth is much bigger than you could imagine. You think too small. You are incapable of changing that which you are incapable of understanding. Obadiah is suddenly standing directly in front of you. The time for action is now. Do you have it in you? Do you? You snap awake in sweat and shaking.
Damn.
Nightingale, what the fuck was that?
What do you mean, Douglan?
Oh, don't give me that shit. I see the look on your face. You don't have your mask. No way, you have your mask on. Never mind.
You can see the look through my mask. Oh yeah, I couldn't hide it at all. What the hell was that?
Holy
Did you see
shit.
the void?
Oh, I saw more than that.
What do you think it means?
I think we've got a sickness, a void sickness. Something ain't right.
Nightingale will quickly peek out the window that's in the, make sure we're not surrounded by winged death things.
You're not surrounded by winged death things. It is the darkness of night, which you would expect.
What did you see, Douglan?
I saw Maggie. I saw the rest of my family. She said I quit on her.
But you didn't.
Well, she doesn't know that. It's been 38 days, 36, according to my notes.
According to my meta notes.
It just got real meta for a second.
Mm-hmm. I don't. Yeah, speaking of meta, I don't know if it's Douglan, but Douglan's first reaction would not be to believe it. Just the fact that his family was there, like he automatically got a little distrustful of the vision. I mean, he's still freaked out, and but his first reaction when he heard this was like, something's not right. You know what else? Nightingale. Maggie said that to not trust Anton. Why would she say that?
Could it be a warning? She somehow figured a way to communicate with you?
I don't know. It doesn't seem right.
My vision was strange too, Douglan. Someone who should be dead claimed to not be dead anymore. and that I too gave up on them.
Well,
It would seem that whatever this experience was, it's playing on our fears.
yeah. Something's not right.
Perhaps we should check with Landis and Lafferty, see if they had an experience with the worst night terror I've ever had in my life.
Let's get the others, indeed. Dun. Lafferty, Landis, you guys up? Oh, indeed. Yes, I am very much up. Yes. Very, very much up.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Did you go back to the void? Because I went back to the void and I saw someone that shouldn't be there, but he was there. What happened?
Well, my meticulously magical friend, I believe all of us saw something in the void that should not be there. Do you recall it being kind of your worst fear?
Oh, it was pretty bad. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Something about gonna kill them all. Yes, that's what I was told. That and it's my fault. That everything's gonna be killed, and it's my fault. He starts kind of like rocking in place, like an autistic kid. Like
Landis will be, well, gentlemen, I hate to ask this of you, but perhaps we all should record what happened in as much detail as possible, so that if there are glimmers of truth that maybe moving forward we might be able to see, but without a proper recorded recollection of our experience. And I'm more than willing to write it down for you all, but it's always important to record things.
Well, I know in my days as a soldier, it was sometimes you go through a traumatic situation, it's better you talk it out. So sure. And I'll recant what he saw and heard, and reluctantly Lafferty will as well, but staring 1,000 yards away, very shook.
Landis will, talk through his experience of his grandfather, who has, been accused of being a doom, pulling his face off to reveal a doom mask, and explaining that the truth is bigger than he believes, and I won't be able to understand, and time to act is now. And as he's writing all this stuff down in his notebook, Nightingale will be like, yes, and I had a dream about this girl who I was dating for a while, that they blamed me for her murder, but it wasn't really me. It turns out that she said it was her dad that killed her and then brought her back to life, and then I abandoned her. Yeah, it's just the craziest dream ever.
Does that have something to do with who's after you?
Douglan, is this the time or place right now? Come on, I just barely met these guys.
Didn't we tell them? I thought we told them. No?
Oh, you're the only one. Nightingale's kind of
record scratch. Never mind. Landis didn't. Lafferty didn't pay attention. He's
Douglan, perhaps you should check on the clerics. They seem to not take things like this well, and if they had a vision, that could really mess them up.
That's a good idea. I'm gonna go.
Can we hear any other kind of movement going on in the ship?
Screaming in the night. Is this like a what do you call it? A loony bin house, like where there's just random screaming all throughout? It's Arkham Asylum.
There doesn't seem to be any more commotion on the ship than you guys are generating. Douglan, you go up to the room of the clerics. You can hear them sleeping. Like you can just hear the sound of them sleeping. Apparently, Beth's a bit of a snorer. You can hear.
I'm not going to disturb them. What time of night?
It's impossible to tell. It's maybe halfway through the night. It's hard to say for sure. The ship is pretty quiet.
So I go back. They're sleeping like babies.
Well, it would seem we're the lucky ones to have the night terrors of
the void.
What do you think it means?
My first instinct tells me that someone doesn't want us to do something. I think it's tied into what happened at the winery. But that's my best guess. As far as the other two, I don't know. Maybe just association brought them back, but I'm not quite sure why it hit those two.
It would definitely seem that we've got something's attention, perhaps, or whatever we are after may affect what we just experienced. So best be on guard. I think from this point out, never know when another shimmering wall will appear.
I don't believe it, by the way.
I wouldn't, Douglan. You didn't abandon anybody. And I certainly didn't kill anybody. And I'm sure you two eggheads didn't do whatever you saw.
Lafferty's not so sure.
Cheated on a math test or something. I
No, Lafferty's not sure because he very much took an essence of that dark thing, and it's
so he's all like, yeah
he's totally a little freaked out. Like, this hit too close to home. He is a little bit inconsolable right now. Like he's just working it, trying to figure, and he can't. He just cannot analyze his way out of this one.
Well, Nightingale will be like, well, Douglan, I think that was long enough for considered
a changing of the guard.
Changing of the guard. You get some rest, and I will keep watch. And I'm sure Lafferty's an elf too, is he not?
Yeah.
Maybe he could watch for Landis now that the sleepy humans got to get their 8 hours.
Yeah, Lafferty is not going to sleep anytime soon.
For a creature who lives so short, they sure sleep a long time.
Yes.
They waste an awful lot of time sleeping.
They burn hot, baby.
All right. The rest of the night progresses without any further interesting events. In the morning, you guys make your way back up to the captain's table, and you sit down. The usual group of guests are there. The
insight check to see if anybody else is like.
The captain is not there yet. There is Solana is not at the helm. She is who knows where. No sign of her or the captain. And the rest of the crew seem to be doing their thing. And so you just have the 6 of you plus Aaron and Beth have arrived. The crew already has the breakfast spread out, usual meats and cheeses and breads and hot tea and the usual fare that you've been having each day. And both Darum and Diza look like they probably didn't sleep very well. And Darum, you see he, for the first morning on the entire trip, he reaches over for the tea and pours himself a big mug of tea. And he says, well, I'm thinking I might have drank a drop too much last night. I have to confess to everybody, I had quite the dream. I guess all the activities of the day, and maybe I might have tipped back that dwarven brandy bottle once or twice, but tell you all, I was back in that god's forsaken place we were in, and I had a very strange interaction with someone from my past. And I'm not going to kid you all, but I never slept a wink afterwards. But I think maybe I'll steer clear of the brandy today. Yes. You can see from Diza's reaction. She's like, yeah, I had that too. The clerics, though, the Beth goes, well, we think anyone should maybe not tip the bottle so often. It does do strange things to people, Mr. Darum.
Right. That's it. That's got to be it.
Landis will be Master Molten Mane. It would seem my comrades and I shared the same experience as you. And I'm sure there's not enough dwarven brandy on this ship to have coincidentally had that happen. I think there's more to it.
Diza looks... I had a pretty strange dream myself last night. Not going to get into the details, but it scared the bejesus out of me.
Landis will kind of scratch his chin and look over to Lafferty. He's like, is there a common denominator between us all, Lafferty, that you can think of?
Yeah, it kind of shakes him out. He needs something to think about, and he thinks about here.
I think we all engaged in combat with them.
How about sort of the captain?
Aaron,
the captain.
No, the captain's not in. Aaron says, Did you all have dreams like this last night?
Yes,
we did, Aaron.
I don't know if this detail matters, but Beth and I did not have strange dreams last night. I do believe actually Beth remarked what a wonderful sleep she had last night. You might have heard it.
Lafferty goes, Landis, perhaps you're right, because the 6 of us were up there. We engaged with those creatures, but the Aaron and Beth were not. They were down in their room. They didn't even know what happened. We have to find out. We should ask the rest of the crew, any crew that had came into contact with any of these beasts. That's what we need. That would be the common denominator, all of us.
We were in the environment fighting.
Selena, Solana, comes into the captain's room there, and she takes a seat in Darius's or at the end of the table where Darius normally sits, and she looks a bit worn, thin. Um, she collects some breakfast and she says, "I'm sorry, but my father will not be joining us this morning. He is dealing with um, some issues. Nothing that anyone needs to be concerned. We are still on track to arrive." Maybe in the next 2 to 3 hours, we will be in Coldhorn. And thankfully, this long journey for those in the world around us will come to an end. I hope that everyone had a good night's rest. I have spoken to many, including myself, that did not. There seemed to be very strange dreams about the ship last night. Not everyone had them, but I myself did, and my father as well. But I hope you did not.
Well, sadly, lass, a number of us. Well, before I start, was your dream back in the void?
She gets a very concerned look on her face and says, "It was back in the void. Did you all have similar dreams?"
All of us had the same one. Well, let me rephrase. We're all back in the void. Each and every one of us had our own special nightmare to deal with. How about you?
I don't wish to get into the details, but it involved someone from my past. Um, it was quite concerning, is all I would say.
Is your father okay? Did he have the same thing?
He did. I probably shouldn't speak of his dream, but he said he saw my mother, who we lost quite some time ago. Um, it has him quite rattled this morning.
Landis will be like, excuse me, Douglan, if I could intrude here a little bit. Solana, it would seem that the dreams we all had brought up something we feared, or a vulnerability from our past, and seemed to prey upon that, either twisting its reality or its storyline to something we wouldn't want to have had happened. Does that kind of sound what happened to you?
That would be consistent with my dream. And Darum speaks up. Yes, son, that's exactly the type of dream I had.
Now, with discussion with Lafferty, it would seem those of us who have had this dream either engaged with these creatures in the void or were on deck during the event. So that could be the common denominator, almost like a residual echo of that experience that we all just had last night.
You see Solana think for a moment, and she says, "That makes sense. It was only the on-duty crew that had the dreams last night. Only those that were on deck at the time. Yes, that does make sense."
Nightingale will be like, perhaps you might let your father know. It might ease his worries.
My father will be fine. He has dealt with many difficult times. I'm sure he will get through this one. I just wanted to grab a quick bite and give my father's apologies for not being able to join you in the final meal. As I said, we should be arriving in Coldhorn within the next 2 to 3 hours if the winds stay good.
Landis will be like, are you familiar with Coldhorn, my dear?
Yeah, very much so. I have been sailing back and forth for decades with my father.
My company, once we're done dealing with our arrangement with
Durham.
thank you. Scanning my papers for a name. Durham, we'll need to acquire transportation or horses. Would you be able to recommend a place?
Where is it you will be traveling to?
I was not given the exact details from my comrades.
Nice.
But it's deeper into the wild, so I would assume we're looking for horses, something that can navigate that kind of an environment.
I have never needed horses myself in Coldhorn, but there are many, many stables that you will be able to acquire horses if that is the way that you travel through the wilds. Now, that being said, I don't know how much you know of the wilds, but they have their name for a reason. Depending on where, and I apologize ahead for the sales pitch, but depending on where in the wilds you are traveling to, I would just make you aware that our sister ship, the Summer Wind, travels throughout the wilds and does provide passage to various stops.
Nightingale will be like, well, that is what I was about to ask. I was going to, mention that you have been missing for 3 months, so whatever you had scheduled is probably off the calendar. Perhaps we could get a ride, but if the sister ship goes into the wilds, we'll have to arrange a meeting with the captain of that ship, perhaps.
Yes.
What's the name of the captain?
The captain's name is Amara. It happens to be my father's twin sister.
Well, hopefully she got all the looks.
Yes.
Is that the wind whistling in here?
All right, gentlemen, I would say before we carry on, this might be a good place to take a quick little break, if you guys are on board with that. And we will be right back. Okay, we are back. Back at it. All right, so Solana excuses herself, leaves the rest of you sitting about the captain's table.
No, I can't do it right now.
And you can hear,
Teenager in the background.
you can hear the ship is it feels like they're kind of increasing their pace a little bit with the ship's I guess I could call them propellers, but because this ship both uses sails, and if you look at the end of it, it has big propellers that drive it as well. They seem to be amping those up just a little bit to reduce the time to get into Coldhorn. Before arriving to Coldhorn, anything else that you guys want to do on the ship? There's maybe 2.5, 3 hours between now and when you'll start to make your the approach into Coldhorn.
Landis will try to get sight of and a copy of, if possible, a rough drawing of the region with the coordinates of where that wall appeared, so that he just has that in his book?
Yeah, I mean they have maps and navigational tools and such. The Helm's woman that is up there, not Solana. She says, the stuff is sort of laid out there. She says you're welcome to draw whatever you want, take a copy of. They have very clearly marked the spot on the map where that occurred, so that they will know the next time they go through what they may want to avoid if they see something similar again.
Like, the reason Landis wants to get it is in the future, I want to be able to cross reference that location with maybe ancient ruins or,
Yep.
any histories in the past.
Basically, Landis can use his book to draw out, where that area is using the map.
I think I just move around too much with my camera. I'm too fidgety. I'm gonna stay within one spot. Yeah, perfect. That's exactly what I'm hoping for.
Yep. You have time and the skills to do so. Having copied a spell or two into your spell book over the years, you're fairly good at drawing and taking notes and such.
Yeah.
Lafferty would like to kind of examine people, and he wouldn't mind asking for a sample of some kind that he can analyze. I mean, why not?
You're welcome to.
Didn't you want to check out sending stones, Lafferty?
Yes, that's what I'll do instead.
Crew, you're welcome.
Yes.
He's got like all these pokey devices and pincers. And
got this syringe that's like this long.
It won't hurt after the initial poke.
Yeah. This'll. I just need a little sample of your intestine, upper. Yes, I would like to go check out the sending stones to.
Okay. Solana is able to show you the two sending stones they have. The the dragonfly just makes constant trips between Vargas and Coldhorn. That is its only route, and it has one sending stone that is in contact with Vargas and one sending stone that is in contact with Coldhorn.
Got it.
They don't have a pair of sending stones. They just have the two that they use to keep communication with those two locations.
Nightingale, in his nervousness to get to somewhat civilization, will find a clear spot, maybe on the quarter deck or something where there's not a lot of people around, and do a little practice with his whip. He's still trying to not Indiana Jones whip his own chin type thing.
All right, you guys go about your business, packing up your belongings, and the crew help anybody that has anything that needs to be moved up onto the main deck, or the lower deck, I guess they're moving it to be offloaded. The ship kind of noses towards the west. They're trimming up the sails and all, and you can start to feel you're making a slow descent now. And off in the distance, you see there is you can see the mountains now. The mountain range, it's known as the Endless Peaks. It's a mountain range that basically runs almost the full length of the wilds from the protected lands all the ways to the most northern edge. You can see it on the map. It's called the Endless Peaks. You can see the mountain range in the distance to the west that you're now headed. And you seem to be moving. There's sort of a V-shaped valley. You can see there's a big waterfall that falls into the back of this valley. And as you get closer, there's a big protective wall on the opposite end where it sort of V's out. There's a big protective wall, and all back through that valley, there appears what you assume must be Coldhorn. All it's where the waterfall comes into the back of the valley. The river sort of forks out, creates a bit of a delta area, and it's all just built, on the land masses all over the place. In a few places, buildings are actually on stilts because a creek runs underneath it or by it, or but the town just seems to spread out across the whole valley, right back almost to where the waterfall is. It's a fair size. Coldhorn, during the warmer months, has about 5,000 people in it, so it's a fair size town. In terms of what you guys know about Coldhorn, just as general knowledge, the city has sort of established itself as a trade point between the wilds and the protected lands. I mean, that's information that Darius would have shared with you over conversation. It was founded by Abram Coldhorn about 300 years ago, and that Coldhorn family has ruled over the city ever since then. Serafina Coldhorn is the current mayor of Coldhorn.
Serafina Coldhorn.
And you guys are just kind of making a very gradual approach towards town. You see Captain Darius for the first time, and he comes over and says, I do apologize. I wasn't able to join you all for a breakfast this morning. If all of our guests could please join me downstairs, I would like to speak with you about a few final things before our arrival in Coldhorn.
Definitely make that happen, Captain.
So you all make your, everybody makes all the guests, Aaron and Beth, and Darum and Diza, and the four of you all make your way down to the cabin area. And Darius says, well, it has been quite a trip. I do apologize for the delayed arrival. Obviously, I do not need to explain to all of you that the circumstances were quite out of our control. But that being said, Windwalker Travels guarantees an on-time arrival. And as such, you will all be refunded your fare for the trip. And I will arrange for rooms as well as a tab for food and drink for tonight. That is our apologies for the latest arrival I have ever had in my 100 or so years of flying from Vargas to Coldhorn. One that I will never be able to explain to anyone ever. So I am just going to take a second and give you back. Darum says that he paid it for your trip. If it's being given back, you guys can have it.
Won't say no to that.
The coin counts.
That's the word on the street.
Even the
Money talks.
copper ones.
All right, so that should be 75 gold for each of you.
Cha-ching. Big money. Ooh,
Drinks
Listen
are
to all
on
that.
Darius tonight.
so wing.
All right. Darius says you should be on the ground within the next half hour.
Nightingale will ask Darius where we would be able to find his sister, Amara.
He kind of looks surprised at the mention of his sister. He says, Captain Amara, they are at our dock, and I'm sure you can speak to her there. I will have lots to speak to her about.
Perfect. This will definitely be a tale for the bar later. We fought 50,000 of them, took them all down.
Took them all down. All right. As promised, about a half hour or so later, you're now, the ship's coming in over top of Cold Horn. As you look over the sides, you can see that the Dragonfly's arrival is attracting a fair amount of attention, since, you're close to a Trigon late. And you can see what looks like almost an identical ship to the Dragonfly. It's just a large area that the one ship is landed on. There's sort of a walkway that's high enough so you can step off the ship onto the walkway, then come down some stairs to the ground level where they sort of dock the ships for easy boarding and onboarding. And you land in Cold Horn, and
So,
you're barely on the ground when, based on her looks, you assume Captain Amara is on board and talking to Darius.
now on our way coming in here, does it look like these ships are the main source of transportation in and out of Cold Horn? Like, is there a pretty well-defined road system leaving? Can we see?
Yes, there is a well-defined road system leaving.
It's kind of one that goes towards the protected lands and one that kind of drifts off out into the wilds type thing.
Yep. You could see roads that kind of wandered off from. There's just one gate on that wall that sort of is at the end of the valley, the protective wall. There's just one gate that leaves there. There's a couple of different spots where the river comes through the wall and continues on as one river. But then off to the one side of the valley, there's a road that goes up to a big gate, and that goes off into, you could see when you were higher up, that road sort of takes off south and then heads off sort of northeast from Cold Horn.
Douglan, do you remember where we're headed?
Yeah, it's the
Does anybody remember where
yeah,
we were going?
the druids from the wilds, keepers of the moon, Winterberry Wood, southern shore of the midnight depth.
Yeah. So you're going to Winterberry Wood on the southern shores of the midnight depths to meet with the keepers of the moon, which is a druid society, to obtain a sickle of the harvest moon.
Lost in the fire of the
Cool. So shall we wait around to talk to Captain Amara? Arrange passage to see how close they could get an airship to possibly these Winterberry Woods?
Yes, if she's not tied up with her twin, maybe we should secure lodging for the evening.
Darius already did.
Solana has already left the ship, heading to the Wandering Giant, is where she will be making arrangements for you for the night.
The Wandering Giant in Coldhorn. I've heard about this place. They're dying for a good bard.
Wandering giant, yes.
Perhaps they've heard of me.
You see One Night Only, Ben Boche, and it's like all old and tattered.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could wait around and see if Captain Amada.
Or we could check out the town and come back. They, like you said, they probably do have quite a amount to talk about.
I'm good either way. I don't care. What do you want to eat? I don't care. What do you want to eat?
One of these relationships.
I don't care. Whatever.
Well, we could get this. I don't like that.
I'm good with whatever. No, not that.
Well, let's head to this Wandering Giant and check our accommodations. Maybe drop some gear off and explore this town a bit.
Yes.
Darum comes up to you and says, so if we may, once we get checked in, I'd like you to accompany me to take care of my business and get that out of the way right away.
That's exactly what we were talking about, getting your business finished. Give Douglan an elbow. Yes.
Yes, that's right. We were just talking about that. Let's take care of Darum, and then we'll do what we need to do. Yes.
Exactly.
Well, I know where the Wandering Giant is, so I can get us there and we can get settled in and we can take care of my business.
Lead the way.
Is Diza accompanying us still?
Mm-hmm. She's in on the deal. She's a part of the bodyguard entourage that is planning to accompany.
She's the toughest one of all.
Exactly. She's just there to protect the four of you while
that's why I was asking,
protected.
Douglan. That's why I was asking. We need some muscle to protect the muscle.
All right, so you make your way through town. So Coldhorn is built up on raised wooden walkways, and when you cross from one side to the other, the roads themselves, that go through town are sparse. They go to certain areas, and that's where people park wagons. And then for the most part, people use hand carts and walk through Coldhorn. It's common in the north for areas to be raised because of the amount of snow they get. It keeps everybody kind of up off of where the snow would basically engulf the walkways and doors and all. What you immediately sort of notice about Coldhorn is it's incredibly sort of muggy, humid. And as you look, sometimes when you're on a wooden walkway and there's some of the river that runs through or by or whatever, you start to notice as you're making your way to the Wandering Giants that there are hot springs that come up out of the ground all around here, and that's one of the reasons that Coldhorn has developed the way it is it stays warmer than a lot of the area because of all these hot springs, which is there's bathhouses and pools and all where people enjoy the other benefits that can come from the hot springs as well. So it's added to the attraction of Coldhorn.
And the population here is a pretty good mix.
All types of people. Yep. You've got everything here, including the first time for some of you maybe seeing orcs just wandering about with with the folk. Not half orcs, but full orcs.
And they're part of the citizenry, correct?
Yep, they are. They're
Nice.
still sort of shunned and given, guarded looks, but
They live in the south
as long as
side
they behave themselves, they're okay.
Well, they'll just let anybody in this town, it seems.
They have the bad school district.
Yep.
Yeah. Only one
Absolutely.
grocery store in the entire area. Yeah, whole deal. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Wandering giant, here we come.
Nightingale
You wanna take a
will try to get some information out of. Oh, I can never remember his name.
Darren?
Darum, your name just is elusive to me about where we're going after we get checked in. Anything we should prepare for?
Yep, he says, well, we'll be headed over to a place that's called the Fortune's Fair. It's pretty much the premier gem dealer for this area. All the gem miners that work all throughout the Endless Peaks, they come here to sell their gems to the Fortune's Fair. Now, I've been employed for most of my life as one of their salespeople, one of their best salespeople, I would say, of course. And
Of course.
I make 2 trips a year to trade my money for additional gems to take and sell to my various clients throughout the protected lands, you see. So this is Nightingale.
Yes.
Okay. He kind of moves in a little closer to Nightingale and says, so Nightingale, I don't mean any disrespect to you, and I hope you understand what I'm about to say, but is there any chance that you might be able to change into one of your disguises? I just want to reduce drawing too much attention to us as we get to the Fortune's Fair, and I just think maybe a jester might attract a little unwanted attention, if you know what I mean. No, mean nothing against you. You're welcome to dress however you want, but I just think it might help us stay a little more low key. As you know, I had some troubles the last time I tried to make my trip here.
Nightingale will put his hand on Darius's or Darum's shoulder. Can we get like a Bill or a Todd? Darum's shoulder and be like, I completely understand. Mum's the word. I will draw less attention when we leave the wandering giant, I assure you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your understanding. You see, the gentleman who runs the Fortune's Fair, he's my half brother, and Nightingale, if he was to fall on my sword, it would not shed a tear. I hate the bastard, but I have built a good business with the Fortune's Fair, and I do my best to interact with him the best I can. Nightingale, I swear to God, he is the bastard who attacked me the last time I was here and stole my money. But I can't prove it.
Well, we will do our best to thwart any efforts to lighten your pouch.
I hope so. I hope so. All right, you arrive at the Wandering Giant Inn. It is it's quite a large building. They've got to easily have a couple of dozen rooms or more, just looking at the windows, and 3 stories. It's a big establishment. Just as you're arriving, Solana is leaving, she comes up to the group and says, now all the arrangements have been made with Gimbrick. He will look after you. Everyone has a room and a tab for food and drinks tonight. As my father said, for our apologies for your unbelievably late arrival. And any time you spend beyond tonight, if you do choose to stay here, will be at your own cost. I do, again, on behalf of Windwalker Travels, I do apologize. And I forget who Solana spoke with about travel. I think it was Landis.
Yes.
She goes over to Landis and says, if you are interested in travels around the wilds, it is my understanding that the summer wind will be docked tomorrow in order to spend a little additional time sorting out what has happened. But in the next day or two, should be making one of its round trips through the wilds.
Well, thank you, my lady. Your father and his company will be regarded highly from anyone we speak with, I'm sure.
Thank you, and do enjoy your night, and enjoy Coldhorn. It is an interesting place.
Excellent. Nightingale, as they're kind of approaching, will kind of whisper into Douglan's ear. I've been requested to change my appearance. So once we hit the rooms, I'll get you guys to leave before me and I'll follow slightly behind so it's not obvious who I am.
Understood. Do you think it would be wise to have just you and I, and then have Lafferty and Landis come a little bit after? Sort of a secondary perimeter, if you will, if he's expecting trouble.
Well, with me lagging behind, you'll have a secondary perimeter. I hate to let those two be left alone. I don't know how capable they are in a fight, but I think we'll be okay.
All right.
You arrive at the Wandering Giant. You enter, and immediately there is sort of the reception area. There is a dwarf, a female dwarf, sitting behind the counter, standing behind the counter, and she greets you as you come in. Hello, come on in. I believe you look like the lot Solana said would be arriving. Are you them?
Indeed. Would you be Gimbrick?
No, I'm Redma. I'm Gimbrick's daughter.
Redma, we've been sent here, yes, by Solana to pick up our rooms, I believe.
Yes, your keys are all here. The room number is marked on the key. And I've been told that you will be joining us later for dinner and drinks. We will have a table set aside for the 6 of you later this evening.
That's wonderful, Redma.
Are there any questions?
Is there any house rules we should know about before we break them? Wink.
No, I don't think so. As long as you're reasonably well behaved, you're always welcome at the Wandering Giant.
Excellent. Good to know.
Lafferty is going to always have a curiosity about towns that he goes into and wanting to know of magical shops. So bear with me. I'm going to do this every time we go to a new city. Miss Redma, I've never been to a town like this. It's quite interesting. are there magical shops? Are there any type of place one can seek knowledge, if you will?
Yes, there are a couple. Let me think now. I think the closest one to us is called the Twisting Nether. Yes, the Twisting Nether. It's not just, well, if you need directions, I can give you directions, or I'm sure if you ask about, you'll find your way there.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Sounds wonderful. If not a bit painful, but that's okay. Yeah, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, it sounds like a pain in the groin, doesn't it?
Oh my goodness, Twisting Nether. Holy moly! What kind of town is this?
An interesting one.
That all depends what you're into, Lafferty.
Yes. Now, Redma, I specifically asked for magic, right? We're talking about magic, not anything else, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I've never been there myself, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We don't let anything slide.
No. If I were a bard, you'd be like,
I'd be singing a song about twisting nether.
the Twisting Nethers. What's your safe word?
Prestidigitation.
Yeah. And if you pronounce it wrong, I won't stop.
Yes. Goodness. All right.
All right.
Well, we'll head up to our rooms to unload, I guess. Are we rendezvousing back here shortly?
I think we're just waiting for
Darum?
Yeah, Darum says that everybody just gets quickly settled away, meet back in the lobby here. We'll head out, take care of business. We can get back and enjoy some food and drink and try and forget the travel that has occurred.
Sounds like a plan. Do we all have separate rooms here?
Yes. Everyone does. The rooms are small, but they're very, very cozy. The beds are very nice. Every room has its own little fire pot and chamber pot and all the pots.
Hopefully they're not all one.
The same pot.
Ew.
Water pot.
It's like a chest or something in the room?
Yes.
For belongings and stuff?
Yeah. Every room has its own little lockable with the same key armoire that's in the room.
Okay. Well, with all due haste, the moment Nightingale is in his room, he'll be quickly donning his disguise of Corey Fairbanks.
All right. Corey is making an appearance in Coldhorn. Very nice.
I figure these scallywags need some help.
Oh yeah, I forgot. It's John Wayne.
Yeah.
I try to keep up with all your aliases. This one is Cole. What is it?
Corey Fairbanks.
Corey Fairbanks.
Corey Fairbanks. Right. This is sort of your main alternate.
Yeah, this is the actual false identity that has papers and everything. Yeah. Corey Fairbanks. He's established.
All right. You all arrive back down into the lobby within a half hour or so. Darum is there. Diza has changed into what we will characterize as a much more adventure type outfit. Sword, dagger, bow and arrows.
The guns are out.
Yeah, she's armed and dangerous, ready for little four-way to the Fortune's Fair.
You said four-way. Sorry. Please continue.
All right. So Darum says it's just a short jaunt over to the Fortune's Fair from the Wandering Giant. He is now carrying a iron box. It's about the size of a large suitcase. You're presuming he had a large trunk with him, so this was probably in the trunk.
Lafferty's going to send his Pez
okay.
up. Sorry.
Pez.
All right. You guys the valley sort of closes in. As I mentioned, it's a V-shaped valley. You guys are walking in towards the back of the valley, towards the waterfall. You can see the waterfall in the distance. You notice back here, a lot of the buildings are quite large. They look like large warehouses. And on the top of a lot of the warehouses, there looks like they've almost plopped a house on top of the warehouse. And you stop in front of one of these larger warehouses, big double doors that are open in the front, and the sign painted on over top of the door says, "The Fortune's Fair." Lots of people milling about. As you look in through, it is a very large sort of warehouse area inside, and there's people working all over the place, and it's almost like a little shanty town inside of the warehouse, and this is where the people that work for the Fortune's Fair work and live in there. So the places in there are sort of, now there's a big staircase that goes up several to the house area that was built on the top. You can see that in towards the center. Durham speaks to one of the, kind of leaves the group, speaks to one of the folks that are around, and he escorts you guys to the stairs, up the stairs, and you enter a hallway, and then you're waiting outside another big set of double doors. Durham turns back to the group of you and sort of says, "Now listen, you lot. Look tough and important. That's all I need from you for the next 15 to 20 minutes. I'll be done the initial business with Halloran, and we'll be done this in no time." So shortly after, one of those big doors in front of you opens up, and an armed gentleman ushers you into the room. It's a big office space. There's about a dozen guards, we'll call them, based on the fact that they're armored and lots of weapons. Yeah, they're armored and armed. They're sort of watching you, but they don't seem concerned. There's a big desk. There's about a half dozen dwarves sitting around it. One that, just based on the chair, which is almost throne-like, is another dwarf who gets up and kind of looks over at Durham and says, "Well, now, it's about bloody time you showed up. I hope you're better prepared this time than you were last time." Durham walks over, he lays the iron box down, pulls a key out from around his neck. He unlocks it, opens the box. You can see inside it is just filled full of platinum trade bars. He turns it around, pushes it forward, and says, 75 platinum trade bars. Every cent I owe you. So that's about 75,000 gold pieces.
Dang.
I'm just kidding.
So if I could just say a few things at this quick break in the dwarven conversation with yourself. I'll let your voice rest a little.
Thanks.
So as you guys were kind of heading, Corey was kind of trailing behind, kind of keeping in eye distance and seeing if anybody was taking notice of the group traveling. And then once you guys kind of arrived to the doorway to enter into the place, Corey kind of just joined in and moved in with you. So now I'm with the group, but for the following, I was kind of...
Okay, give me a perception check.
Did Pez see anything? Anyone following?
Oh my God, let's get them out now. Ugh.
You lost the group.
It took you like 20 minutes just to find us.
Yeah. Oh, dear Lord.
By the way, Colin.
Hey, I think this is an appropriate moment.
Yeah. Ah, crap.
Um,
That's my second one of the night, man.
It is.
I rolled for my experimental elixir and it's transform. That's why I did that. Every day I get a freebie.
Yep.
Oh.
And if you could run a long rest just for spell slots and...
Yeah, no, that's a good call. I will do that right now.
I know most of us got our hit points back, but I was missing some spell slots and stuff. So
Yep.
I feel revived.
That.
Feels so good.
So, Hulrin Bloodbeard is his name. He runs Fortune's Fair. As Darren mentioned, they're half brothers. No love lost between them. He looks over the trade bars, kind of pokes around in there a little bit, and says, "Ha! Well, you've done well for yourself then. Well, we have some business to discuss about your next take then. Do you need all of this company to do that?" Barum kind of looks around and he gives you guys, he kind of gives you the little usher out, like it's okay.
I whisper to Landis, "Leave your friend."
As Landis is leaving, he'll put his hand on the door and Hero up the door, and then he'll walk out.
All right, so you guys you sort of pile up outside the door. Diza, she looks a little uncomfortable. She's like, Are you sure that's the right decision?"
Landis will, as he kind of leans back against the wall and pulls his head over so you can't really his hood, so it kind of shadows his face, closes his eyes and is like, "We've got eyes on the prize." And he'll start looking through Hero's eyes.
All right, so Darum is taking a seat at the table. They're discussing they're discussing the clients that Darum has had the most success with since he was last here. They discuss a little bit about the types of gems that Darum is going to take back with him for his next round of sales in the protected lands. He's gonna focus this season mainly in diamonds and rubies, as he has some clients that are interested in those types of gems. And they sort of talk back and forth a little bit. Holren makes some comments about why Darum needs bodyguards, and Darum said, after my last bit of trouble, just seemed the right thing to do. Holren gets kind of a smirk on his face when Darum says that. They settle on he will leave with 50,000 gold pieces in various gems that he will sell to his clients for the next season, with the agreement that he'll be back just before the snow starts to fly in the wilds to take back his usual winter fare. The whole interaction is it's uncomfortable, but they just it's clear the two hate each other, but they are trying to be civilized and get through this interaction. The other three dwarves sitting around the table don't say much. They seem to be thoroughly enjoying the discomfort between these two. And Darum, they take all the trade bars out of Darum's case. He puts several pouches of gems back in it, closes it, locks it, puts the key back inside his shirt, and heads out the door.
As he walks out the door, Hero will drop onto his back. Corey will walk up to Durham. Was business successful, my friend?
Yes, it was. I believe what I wanted to accomplish with you lot did exactly what I hoped it would. It had Holren on his heels the second we walked in, and let's just say that this negotiation went much better than I had intended, or I had estimated it would. Now, I believe we should head back for some good food and drink.
On payment.
Corey will slap the back of Douglan and be like, I'll follow you folks just in case we get some stragglers.
Good idea.
And as nonchalantly as he can, Landis will pick Hero off of the dwarf's back.
All right, you guys, you start to head back. Darum comes over to Douglan and says, because obviously Nightingale, aka Corey, is skulking in the back there. He says, Douglan, so as good as this has gone, I need to make sure that I get back on the Dragonfly in the morning. I'm willing to offer each of you another 100 gold pieces to get me there.
I think that's fair. I don't think we're planning to leave anyway. Sure.
Well, you know the time the Dragonfly leaves. It's the same from here as it does from Vargas. They'll leave at noon. I've already made the arrangements with the captain, and despite everything that's gone on, the Dragonfly does intend to leave at noon tomorrow. So, if you can all just be there to make sure that get back on board that ship, your service to me will be well appreciated.
I think we can arrange that. While he was in there, could Douglan have gotten a gauge of the dwarves?
Which particular dwarves?
The three.
Sitting at the table with them?
Yeah.
I mean, based on their looks, they're likely family of Hulrins. They're likely all Bloodbeards.
Okay.
So likely, presumably all brothers, but you never know with dwarves. One of them could have been a sister.
But did they seem capable fighters, that sort of thing?
Holren himself, looks like he's had more ales and fine meals than swings of a battle axe.
Got it. He's going to hire out
and
if he does.
yeah, and the rest of his family, we'll call them, there look much the same. Like they haven't swung a battle axe in quite some time.
Okay.
Business dwarves.
So it's not going to come from them. He's going to hire out. Okay. All right. No problem. Darryl.
Would Corey be able to do a perception check as we return to see if there's anybody watching where we return to?
Yep.
Okay, come on, another one.
You're fairly comfortable that nobody followed you back. Your owl would sort of second that ideal, that that nobody seemed to really follow you back from the Fortune's Fair.
All right. Well, I guess we head back. And if he's settled, Lafferty wouldn't mind going out to the twisting twisting nether.
The knotted balls.
Where?
Oh, Jesus.
I don't even know who you people
twisting
are anymore.
nether. The twisting nether.
And we can montage it if you want. I would just. It's
I
gonna
would love to see the twisting nether montage.
Yes. You're the best around.
Wizard training. 2 wands. Ugh.
Yeah. That did not look good.
Squatting heavy books.
So are you going to are you going to head there before you get back to?
Well, no, I was gonna get Darren settled with the group, make sure he's, and he can go off maybe if Landis wants to accompany him. Split the group. I mean, it's basically we arrived mid-morning, right?
As Lafferty's trying to
about noon you arrived, so
Okay.
it's early afternoon.
Okay, so we have a little bit of time to kill here. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
We want to sightsee a little bit.
Sure.
But we can do it montage
So
style.
Diza and Darum, they stay at the inn. They're going to rest up, freshen up, and they'll meet you all for supper in the evening. The Redma says that they will have a table set up ready for the group in the tavern for supper tonight.
As we're kind of parting ways, Corey Fairbanks will saunter up to Darum and whisper in his ear, "Now, if I were you, I wouldn't reckon on trusting that little lady too much. She is a bit of a gambler, and you're one prime hand to swindle right now. So just keep an eye on that lass."
Understood. And sound advice.
Yeah. Nothing comes out. It kind of drizzles down his chin. I'm a bit parched.
All right. So
And,
who's headed to the twisting nether?
I say the 4 of us.
Okay, all 4 of you are going to head there?
Landis will leave Hero at the front door of the Wandering Giant.
Okay.
Kind of just above the door there, though. And we'll suggest Lafferty leaves his familiar as well.
Yeah, Pez is going to kind of circle around the inn.
Just tell Pez that if anything happens to come get us.
That's a great idea. Yes.
And we'll
And I
head
think
off.
that.
Yeah, you can think it. Pez, come get us if shit goes
Yes.
chamber pot.
Yes.
All right, you make your way to the twisting nether. You ask a few questions, get pointed in the right way, lose your way a few times, find your way back again, and it is the upstairs of a of what appears to be just some sort of gambling hall, and it's upstairs, kind of an upper floor You go up the stairs on the side away from the gambling hall, and there's a sign over the door that says Twisting Nether.
All right. Head on in.
All right, it's a fairly large, like maybe 20 by 20 single room. It's just packed full of shelves and drawers that are just covered in pots and vases and baskets. Typical of a magic store where you can buy magic supplies. Lots of
Laboratory stuff.
yeah, lots of spell components.
Yeah.
And
Guano.
yeah,
I have
exactly.
loot.
There is a counter towards the back, and on the shelves there are some potion bottles and a few jars that look like they may have some harder to come by spell components and such in it. Standing in the back, or sorry, seated at the counter, reading through a book, is an older looking human male. He's probably in his late 60s.
Hello. Are you the proprietor?
I am.
Oh, well met. I'm Lafferty Jones, and you are, sir.
My name is Margrave.
Again, well met, Margrave. I'm looking for anything you might have on formulae or books of a mechanical nature of some kind. Anything. I see you have a wonderful selection of components and potions, but I'm looking more for the formulae. Do you have any such things?
I don't deal in such things.
Okay.
What is it you're looking for?
Well, really anything, quite frankly. I'm constantly looking for new ways to create things, if you will, and I break out the book of spaces that don't exist. For example, something like this. This is a wonderful book on how to, well, what I think is to create spaces that don't exist. So I'm looking for things such as this, like, for example, how to create things. Do you have nothing of the sort? Just the components, sir?
Well, I don't have anything here, boy, but I know people that can get things. Magical items that you might be interested in. Maybe books could be found. I have connections, you see, and although these connections are not quick, they do know where things can be found.
Okay. Well, excellent. Well, we're probably just in town for the day. Is there something that can be done by then?
No.
Okay.
Landis will look at Lafferty and just give a little nod, and he'll pull out 6 gold coins and put it on the table and be like, I do beg your pardon, Mr. Margrave, sir, but a man who is as well connected as you must have some information about the wilds in the area about where one could acquire such items ourselves. Perhaps you could point us in the right direction?
What? You're looking for books? Just books? Or would there be some other item you're looking for?
Well, as my friend here so eloquently stated, I think he's mostly looking for information. Books, people to talk to, things like that.
Well,
Margrave.
now, Let's see.
I'll clink another gold coin on the pile. Is it coming back to you, perhaps?
I can get you things, but you have to tell me what it is you're looking for. I have a few scrolls around that may be of interest. Um, I know a few magical folk in town. I may be able to see what they have for books on such short notice, but this is unusual for the way that I conduct my business here. Things do not happen quickly in the magical world.
Understood.
Landis will look to Lafferty. What exactly are you looking for? What's your latest endeavor?
Well, you see, it's really just a question of
At this point, Corey Fairbanks walks out. Goes, I saw gambling downstairs. I'm going downstairs. I'll be downstairs, losers.
Well, you see, it's sort of let's call it a habit of mine that whenever I'm in a new town, I always want to take a look at what they have to offer. It's the best way to find knowledge. You never know when you're going to find something that you just didn't know it existed. Scrolls and books and things like that in these far off places. They're just amazing things that you can find and look at the things that you can create. And I, hold out one of my bombs that I've created that is encompassed a little shock spell inside. I gained this from a remote land that they had this little scroll on how to cast this, and look at what I've created. That's all. So you ask what I'm looking for. It's knowledge, sir. It's knowledge. That's it. I seek knowledge on how to better things and make everybody's life easier or stay alive. All these things.
As we all in our profession are looking for knowledge, Lafferty, but this poor man behind me is looking for something specific that he could look for you.
Well, I don't know. So.
Well, then, Landis will turn around. You mentioned scrolls?
I do have some scrolls. Nothing too powerful available immediately on hand, but your books. Let me see what I can do. Stop by tomorrow. My shop opens at noon. I could speak to some of my colleagues. Maybe something can be found.
Well, there is something maybe specific that could help. At least it's my latest endeavor, if you will. As you see, I can house spells in this glass, but they're limited. Perhaps something that could store additional spells. Something that holds or harnesses spells of various levels, things of that nature that you can store and then use at a time that you deem. So maybe something along those lines. That's my latest project that I'm trying to figure out. Perhaps that would help give direction, if you will, good sir.
I will see what I can do. As I said, I cannot make any promises, but this is a little unusual, such a tight time frame. I do not normally work this way, but stop by when the shop opens tomorrow at noon, and I will see what I can come up with for you.
In the meantime, and I know how it works. Basically, I'm going to buy, let's say, like 50 gold of components. I think you just leave it as gold pieces. So I'll do business with him. And thank you. Listen, I need some of that. The newt, yes, definitely. The guano. You have bat wings, yes. Yeah, I'll take that as well. And I put the 50 gold on the counter for all the components.
Okay, you find all of his spell components of very high quality.
Excellent. This is wonderful, wonderful stuff. Okay. Thank you.
I will speak with you tomorrow, and hopefully I have something more of interest at that time.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sure you will, Master Margrave. I'm sure you will.
All right.
Landis will usher Lafferty out as he's probably last minute shopping.
He's putting like shit, like 15,000 pockets. He's putting this there, and he's got the guano. He just, oh no, that goes over there. It's lined with a little plastic so it doesn't stain.
Plastic. I found a gum tree. It's amazing.
I invented plastic.
I invented plastic.
All
All
right.
right. Anywhere else you want to go, or are you just going to head
I
back?
foresee Lafferty going shopping as like the moment the two of you just go, oh God. So I will not be doing that a lot, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. It's part of the game. That's part of Lafferty's character is he's always looking for
Yeah.
knowledge.
We cannot montage though, as I said, if we need to. I don't want to.
Nope.
drag it.
I think we're good. If we can acquire airship transportation to our destination, then I don't think a large portion of rations and survival gear will be necessary.
Yes.
So we're okay. We'll head back.
Okay, actually, I would like to buy. Hold on.
Nope. Corey Fairbanks grabs Lafferty by the back.
No.
drags
It's not
him out.
magic stuff. It's mundane stuff. It's mundane stuff. I want to grab a couple of just.
I
so-
think you've had your fill, man.
Damn it! Hold on.
What are you after?
No, it's just I want to buy a set of goggles, a cap, just a mundane bag.
I have a feeling money burns a hole in this feller's pocket.
No, we're talking. They probably combined. This is less than a gold. Good lord. Good lord, man.
I'll take your money off you.
Nobody panic. I'm looking at the things that I can infuse. That's all.
You need the physical vestige.
Yeah, it's mundane stuff. So don't. I just want to get to the list. Hold on. God, where the heck is it? Okay, here we go.
On the way back, Colin, once Lafferty's done shopping, all of his bags he's carrying around. As soon as Landis is within the 100 feet of Hero, he'll touch base with him and find out. Just as a heads up.
Darum's dead.
Okay, so what is it? What are the items you were after again there?
A cap. Goggles.
Like just for your head?
Yeah, so you need an item to infuse. So
Okay.
I just don't want to be out in the wilds, and if we need a cap of water breathing, I don't have a cap. So
Okay, a cap
just-
is a gold piece.
okay, one gold piece there. Goggles.
I don't have goggles in here.
I believe they were 2 silver for goggles.
A pair of goggles are going to be more than that. Let
I
me
mean, yeah.
find out what goggles cost.
There is, to be honest with you, I probably could make goggles because I literally could make any mundane thing. I have an ability called tools for the job.
Create
So-
mundane thing.
I basically can, but I figured it would be easier just to do it like this. So I'll take
Yeah,
a gold.
I don't in my inventory list. I don't have goggles, so I'd have to create it. So we'll say you bought them, and we'll just take care of that
Okay.
offline.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then is there such thing as well, again, I think a wand can be anything, but
A wand can be anything.
okay, that's it.
Yep. So just a gold piece to buy a cap.
Copy that.
And we'll figure out the goggles. We'll say you buy a pair of goggles at the same place.
Got
and we'll figure out a cost and get that into your image. I may just have to create it.
Okay. It's just to have, I just
Well, you need
the
those
stone-
items to infuse, right?
Yeah. Listen, the stones, I'll grab a couple of stones if I decide to do that. But the rest of the stuff, rope we have, a wand is a stick. So
Yeah, a wand is a stick, exactly.
I can get you those.
I love
Sticks.
No,
I pick
knows
up-
the guy.
I pick up a stick.
Alrighty.
Riveting RP there, guys.
We're
Thank
gonna
you.
head back to the inn.
The Wandering Giant. Yep.
All right. You guys make your way back. We're gonna say it's late afternoon now. The spider sees nothing out of the ordinary.
Yep.
You know, people are coming and going, but nothing of concern. Same with your owl. You know, nothing really stands out. Just people coming and going and milling about, and nobody looks particularly suspicious to them.
As Landis and Lafferty are walking back, and grumpy Corey Fairbanks is in front of him, he'll be like, "Don't worry, Lafferty. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. Some stink more than others."
Lafferty laughs like it was the funniest joke ever.
Corey's like,
Awesome.
"You geeks."
All right. I need to take another quick break. You guys okay with that?
Sure.
No, we're not, Colin. You got to stay and finish this.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll be right back. You guys can wait here. Okay, we are back. Back in black. And you have arrived at the Wandering Giant. You make your way to your rooms and freshen up and prepare for dinner.
Corey Fairbanks will go back to Nightingale.
Excellent. All right. You guys head down. You know, we'll say it's 5-ish or so. Nightingale, while you are in your room, or Corey, or I think you're going back to Nightingale now, right?
Yes.
To head downstairs. As you are getting ready, you unfortunately feel the same sort of sensation of where you are receiving a sending again. And it is Lord Baskell in your head once again. He says, "I am not sure what games you are playing, Bashir. Your fate is already sealed. I look forward to the news of your death."
Whether or not he can hear me, I'll be like, "You could try."
He can hear you. You can reply. Under 25 words, it's a sending spell you are getting hit with.
Oh, I didn't know all this time I could answer.
You've never asked.
I will say, you're after the wrong person. I will prove it to you, and all of this will be history. And that's it. I don't know if that's 25.
Well, we'll call it 25. It was probably close.
It's pretty close.
All right.
And after composing myself, because yet again, another unwanted voice in my head, I will.
Yeah, it's so crowded up here already. Okay. Lord Baskell, there is no room for you in here.
I'm walking out the door, half Corey Fairbanks, half Nightingale.
You've got the jester's hat on, but the rest of the Corey Banks outfit.
Yelling out for Jaspers.
Yeah, and then you throw in a little Brophus.
Where are you, Jaspers?
Come, my good man.
I've got a job for you, Jaspers. Yeah. No, Nightingale will head down, armed with every weapon he has, since now he's all skittish again.
Okay. You make it downstairs. Darum and Diza are already seated at the table. And The rest of you slowly make your way there. Just gotta bring that up.
Nightingale will kind of lean over to Douglan and be like, Lord Basket was talking to me again. I would assume he knows I'm here.
Do we know? Well, let me do this in character. How's he getting a hold of you?
Through magic? I
Maybe
don't
talk
know.
maybe talk to Landis or Lafferty. Because maybe he's just a long way away and he's messing with your head.
Duly noted, Douglan. Duly noted.
Listen, we've been having, it seems on the daily, some messed up things in our melons here. It's not easy to stay focused, but try, okay?
Oh, I'm a veteran to having crazy things going on in my head. I can handle this.
It's very comforting. Good to know.
All right, the four of you make your way to the table, joining Darum and Diza. Darum seems in a very good mood. He's probably had a few brandies already. Diza's sipping on some what appears to maybe be cider. You guys have a seat, and a dwarf gal comes over, and she says, well, welcome. She looks a lot like Redma. You're immediately thinking probably sister. My name is Tizdora, and I've been asked to look after you good folks tonight and make sure you get everything you need, food and drink. And what can I start you off with to drink? We've got a dark amber malt. Good for hangovers, but it'll get you pretty drunk too. We've got a summer fruit cider that Miss Diza's having here, and a house specialty is our honey mead.
Nightingale will order a mead.
I'll have a mead as well. Lafferty, what do you want? Huh? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
Landis will be, I'll just have a water, dear. Thank you.
3 honey meads, then we'll make it, and a water. Now, are you going to be eating right away, or do you want to have a drink or two first? No rushing you. You take your time. Just want to know.
Oh, I could always eat less. So go ahead and start bringing the food for me, yeah? That's his belly.
All right. Well, we've got
harder,
two.
By the way,
We got 2 dishes available this evening. We've got what we call the wild stew with biscuits. That's our house specialty as well. And we've also got pan-fried pork sausages with fried potatoes. Potatoes.
Some potatoes.
You have 11sies.
Landis will order the sausages and Nightingale will have the special.
All right. And for you two?
Let me have that fried stuff.
All right, then.
Lafferty will have the stew.
The wild stew.
Which he won't really eat.
And yes, and I already have Mr. Darum and Mr. Diza's orders, or Mrs. Diza's. I'll be right back then with your drinks.
Any trouble, Darum, while we were gone?
No. The only trouble is trying to drink slow enough not to be sloshed already. No, it's been a good evening, gentlemen. I do thank you very much for your assistance in dealing with my half-brother bastard. But everything went exactly how I hoped it would. And I know that the presence of this group kept any shenanigans from materializing. So I thank you very much for that.
Well, it gave us something to do on our journey here.
And paid a little coin too.
I wasn't going to mention the coin, but yes, you're right. That always helps. Nightingale will look over towards Deeza and be like, I have been meaning to ask you, Deeza, what your plans are after Mr. Molten Mane is back on the Dragonfly and headed off to, wherever the man's going in Vargas.
Well, I am going to stay in Coldhorn for now. I'm hoping I might connect with some adventurers that might help me reline my purse, shall we say, before I return to the protected land. So I think I'll be calling Coldhorn home for at least a little while.
We stumbled upon a gambling hall below the Twisted Nipple, Nethers, just this afternoon.
Oh? And why would I be interested in that? She gives you kind of a coy smile. Let's see now. Sorry, she's talking to Nightingale?
Yeah.
She says, so Nightingale, what you're saying is I've found myself in a town full of adventure and gambling halls. Why would that keep me here?
Well, a fool and his money are soon parted.
Yes, and I am neither the fool, but I will collect the money.
You're so nasty, girl.
That's Miss Jackson if you're nasty. Anyone? No? Okay, never mind.
Was that Janet Jackson you were quoting?
Yes, it was. All right. I
Let's go back to Lafferty
totally
shopping.
aged myself right there.
And we go back to Lafferty shopping. Okay.
So Tizdora comes back. She drops 2 more of the dark amber malts for Darum. He's heavy into the malts. Another cider for Deeza, and hands out the honey meads and the water to Lafferty, I believe it was having a water.
Landis.
And Landis? Oh, okay. And she comes around to Nightingale, and she hands Nightingale a scroll, a small scroll of paper.
Damn it.
And she says, there was a young lad just dropped this off and said it was for Nightingale. I assume you're he?
Well, thank you, Tiz. Dora? A lovely letter. Let me see what an adoring fan has to write about me today.
Douglan looks around like he's scanning. See anybody staring at us?
No, the room seems as disinterested in you guys as you are in the rest of the room. It's a fair-sized little pub. It's a large room. It's got a central bar. It's about a dozen tables, various sizes, chairs along the bar. Everyone just seems tied up in their own yammerings.
Nightingale will lean back in his chair, trying not to shake, open up the scroll.
Douglan puts his hand on his shoulder.
I hate these. It
It's gonna be all right.
says, Hello, Bashir. It is good to see that you arrived safely in Coldhorn. I was getting concerned about your disappearance. From what I hear, you have quite a story to tell from your travels. There is a complication that has arisen during your absence. A complication that places me in the awkward position of not wanting to complete my contract against you. I need to meet with you to discuss the situation. I understand completely that you would be suspicious of this request. To help alleviate your concern, I will meet you in a public place. Your friends may accompany you, but I ask that we are allowed to speak at a table by ourselves. I will meet you tonight at the Armored Duck Tavern. I look forward to it. And it is signed Crimson Shiver.
I will quickly pull the other note I have from the Crimson Shiver and check the handwriting. Being I'm a master forger, I'll be able to tell if it's the same person.
All right. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Just a second here.
The plot thickens.
Okay, so what kind of a check would that be? Maybe an investigation check?
Sure. That would work.
I think you should also be able to add your proficiency, right? Because
yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, there's no particular? I mean, I guess it's an investigation check. I don't know. We'll go with that.
Yeah, you could put that as a skill, like I did with herbalism and glassblower, because there's literally things you can.
Yeah, you can just add it into that list. But
yeah, like
for now, give me an investigation check.
I'm glad we're not in combat tonight because my rolls have sucked.
Yep.
You're fairly certain it was written by the same person, yes.
Okay. I will lean over to Douglan and be like, Douglan, it seems I have a dinner engagement with the Crimson Shiver.
Well,
and do you read, Douglan? I'll ask before I hand over the letter.
Jesus Christ.
Do you read?
I have an 8 intelligence, so maybe. No, I can read. Jesus.
I'll sound out the big words for you.
All right. What are the big words? Shiver.
Greetings. This is the Crimson. As I'm pointing to the words.
You want me to read through it again?
Would you like to go alone, lad?
Basically,
talking like that, you're going to go alone.
Well, you heard the letter. Sums it up. We got to head to the Armored Duck Tavern, and I want to bring you all with me as backup.
You know, I got your back. Let's go. Let's get this put to bed.
Glad you didn't say let's put this in the grave.
No, let's put this 6 feet under. Come on.
Let's bury this.
Let's bury the hatchet. Come on.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's you, Douglan. You are the Crimson Shiver.
I take off my mask. And it's me, one of the adults.
It's like a Scooby-Doo ending.
Exactly.
Well, let's eat dinner because it's not until later tonight. Let's
done.
Keep this on the hush and hush, if you know what I mean, Douglan. I would appreciate our employer and Diza not knowing my dirty laundry.
Fair enough.
Or the assassins trying to become pen pals.
Do you want the 4 of us or just the 2 of us?
Becoming pen pals.
I want the 4 of us.
All right. And you're sure you don't want to talk to him?
Talk to who?
Lafferty. Landis.
I'll talk to them when we're not in
Oh,
said
understood.
company.
Oh, I got you. I agree. But they should know. Well, let's see how the meeting goes. If he's still after you, well, then you need to come clean.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
We'll burn that bridge when we get there.
We'll bury that corpse when we get there.
Nightingale will be like, "Where's that Tisdora? I need a drink, a stiff one."
She dropped off your honey mead when she gave you the notes. All right, you they bring the food and whatever additional drink you want all on the bill for Windwalker Travels. The food is absolutely fantastic. You can tell why this little pub is just jammed with folk. It's pretty
Douglan
clear the food and
undoes.
the drink are very good.
Douglan undoes the top button of his pants, sticks his hand down. Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. Way to go,
that
El
was good.
Bundy.
Yeah. I don't know what good I'm going to be to you, Nightingale.
Human shield at this point.
Yeah, I'll just step behind you when things go
I'm
sideways.
sure they won't see me coming, Douglan.
Oh man, whiskey through the nose is not pleasant. Oh,
all right, so you guys eat and drink as you wish, and it is now getting into the early evening.
Landis, as usual, will take a portion of his food back to Mud to give the dog a bite to eat.
Take him out for a walk.
Yep.
Let him pee on a fire hydrant.
Oh no, he's trained him to drop it in a chamber pot, man. This guy's Mud's a good old dog.
you come in, he's like literally sitting on the chamber pot, reading the paper.
Reading the paper. What?
And then we will head over to the Armored Duck Tavern.
All right. So the Armored Duck is just a very short trip from the Wander. It's the closest tavern to where Coldhorn has a lot of inns, a lot of taverns, a lot of gambling halls, a lot of
Seems like a lot of places for adventurers to loosen their coin pouches in.
Exactly. Would be a very fair summation of Coldhorn. Coldhorn is basically full of
Money.
Warehouses that, for all the various
Right.
adventuring, hunter and gathering, mining, all of the stuff that pulls resources out of the wilds, ships it down to the protected lands, and all those people that are out there doing the mining, the gathering, the hunting, they come here and lose all their money so they can immediately head out and do a whole bunch of more mining, hunting,
Nice.
So
Very nice.
So as we kind of leave, Nightingale will inform Landis and Lafferty that we're going to meet someone and the situation might get dangerous. So just a heads up. I can't tell you more than that now. Just trust me and Douglan that if things go bad, we'll all have each other's backs.
Of course, Mr. Nightingale.
And try to look mean and tough like we did back at the other place, will you?
Well, if you like, I could change everything about how I look if you'd like. Would you like me to do that?
What do you mean, Lafferty?
Well, just do you want me? I can look tough. I could look like I can look like a big, strong half orc if you like. You want me to do that?
Sure.
Okay. Well, it only lasts for 10 minutes, so I'll do it right as we walk in. Okay.
What if this conversation lasts more than 10 minutes? The ruse is up, my good man. Just go in as yourself. Don't just.
Okay.
You look bad. I shouldn't have put self-confidence issues in you.
Yeah,
But
but
we
you know what I find? It's
I
usually the ones.
I shouldn't have
that-
given you these self-confidence issues.
Listen, it's usually the ones they overlook. Those are the ones you got to be careful of.
Yes, exactly.
Don't worry, I can hold my own. Don't worry.
You will be overlooked. Let's go. we will.
All right.
I'll read over the letter again. Does it say which table I'm supposed to meet at?
Nope. Just says that the Crimson Shiver has no problem with your friends accompanying you. Just asks that you're allowed to speak at a table by yourselves. So you enter the Armored Duck. It is it's a fairly big place, tavern. 20 tables, various sizes, can probably comfortably hold about 100 people or so. You do find that it has a little entertainment that is playing in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Yeah, and the place is pretty full. Like, it's standing room only in here this time of night. You find you do in the room, you find a couple of tables towards the back that are unoccupied. So Nightingale sits at one of the tables by himself. Literally, like, right next is the table with the other three. But the room is pretty loud. So Nightingale will be able to have a fairly private conversation with the rest of the group. After you're seated there for a few minutes, a young lady comes up, a human female, and she says, "So, what can I get you?"
Like a red shiver, please.
Do you have any cocktails? This may be my last drink.
We've got our Happy House Ale. That's pretty much the house drink. We've got our Flying Weasel wine. It's pretty good stuff. Wyvern Hard Cider. Now, if you're looking to get drunk, that's a good one. The Bee's Knees Mead. If you're looking for something a little easier. And if you're looking to get right shit-faced, then I'd suggest the Holy Mare rum.
I'll have 2 Holy Mare rums, please.
All right, then. And she moves over to the table with you other 3. Pretty much the same spiel. What can I get you?
The bee's knees.
The Bee's Knees Mead. For all 3 of you?
Sure. That would
Done.
be wonderful. Thank you.
I'll be right back. And she turns around. Anybody hungry? We got is our.
We just ate.
Okay, very good. Be right back with your drinks.
Thank you. Nightingale will just slide one of the drinks kind of to the opposite side of the table and sit there. He's not going to drink yet, though.
All right. So you haven't got them yet. After a few minutes, your waitress comes back, and she puts the 2 drinks down in front of Nightingale, and she says, I've just been given this note to give you.
Haha, die, sucker.
Well, thank you. I'll slide her a copper piece for the note.
All right. She moves to the table next and starts dishing out the meads. The note says, Nightingale, you are being watched through magical means by Lord Baskel. Oh, sorry, I missed one little point here. With the note is a small wooden box that she's laid down. So it was a note and a small wooden box she laid down that she was asked to give to you. So it says, so the note says, Nightingale, you're being watched through magical means by Lord Baskel. Inside the box, you will find an amulet that will hide you from him as long as you have it on. I cannot approach you until you do. I must protect my identity.
Nightingale will toss the box over to Landis and be like, what do you make of this? What is this? I was supposed to put it on. Then Landis will open it up and have a gander at it.
Inside of it, there is an amulet.
Does it have any inscriptions, arcanic ruins? Does it glow magical?
It does have some, so it's a chain with a large central stone, and there are some ruins that are engraved in the stone. The stone is not a precious stone, but you don't quite know what type of stone it is. Some sort of brownish stone on the amulet.
Could Lafferty do an Arcana check?
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you that ability to try an Arcana check.
I'll help you, give you advantage because I got Arcana as well.
We put our heads together and we're like whispering to each other. It's like
literally put our heads together. Ooh,
that's pretty good.
The two of you believe that this may likely be an amulet of proof against detection and location.
Mr. Nightingale, yes, I think if you don this, that the powers of scrying, they won't work.
So it's what this Crimson Shiver says it is?
I'm not sure what she said it was, but that's what we believe this will do. So
okay, I'm not putting a noose around my neck or something foolish like that.
It does not look to be that, but it's the best of our knowledge. Landis, would you agree?
Would have to agree with Lafferty and I's decision. Nightingale, this would seem to be what it was claimed to be. Okay. Nightingale will take it back and he'll do a quick scan of the room to see if he can notice anybody watching him.
There is across the room, clearly watching you, a finely dressed young lady, and when you look towards you, she gives you a nod.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll put it on. Well, I hold my breath.
Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
It's a garrote wire, damn it!
All right. Nightingale, I'm going to give you a amulet of proof against detection and location. But this particular amulet requires no attunement. It should be in your inventory there. Amulet of proof. Let's see if...
Is it identified?
Yes.
You see that in Nightingale's?
I did.
Got an amulet of the Vanguard. I don't see it, but I'll assume it's there.
Okay, let me see if I can drop it in here again. There it is. I definitely saw your inventory moves. Not sure where it's showing up. May have two of them now.
Oh, there we go. Amulet proof against detection. I see it.
Do you have
Third from
two
the
of them
top.
or just one?
Just
Nope,
one.
Just the one. Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's a amulet of proof against detection and location. The only unique feature of this amulet of proof against detection and location is it does not require attunement, which is unusual for these amulets.
I will slip it around my neck with my 4 other chains. I'm starting to feel like Mr. T.
I pity the fool.
All right. As soon as you put the amulet on, this young lady makes her way across. She looks at the table where the other 3 are, and she gives a little nod to the 3 of them, acknowledging that she knows that they are there. And then she sits down with Nightingale. She smiles at Nightingale and she says, I would imagine that I am not what you expected. The truth is, Nightingale, much of what I'm about to tell you will not be what you expected. Your disappearance required me to do some research in hopes that I could determine where you had gone. It is lucky for both of us that I did. It would appear that we are distant parts of the same puzzle. What I am about to tell you must never be spoken by you to anyone. So the young lady, she she moves in across the table and speaking in a significantly lower voice, so only Nightingale can hear.
I thought you meant like, the truth is I'm a man.
Oh, my name is the Shiver.
Okay, maybe I'll go with quieter voice.
My name
Okay.
is Pat Shiver.
She says, Crimson Shiver is not a person. Crimson Shiver is an assassin's guild under the direction of the Penumbra College Inner Circle. You see, Nightingale, we work for the same people. Not all of the business that the college is a part of can be dealt with in diplomatic manner. There are times when the sharp end of cold steel is the only solution. It is for these times that Crimson Shiver was created. Only the inner circle knows of our existence. And now you. I am sure that you can understand why this must be kept a secret. She leans back. When we are not in service to the Penumbra College, we keep our skills sharp by accepting outside contracts. When Lord Baskel contacted us, we did not know that you were a Penumbra Bard. We had been directed to kill Bashir, not Nightingale. Clearly, we cannot kill one of our own. The amulet is yours to keep, a gift from us to you for the inconvenience. We will cut ties with Lord Baskel. No other Crimson Shiver will bother you. Thank you for your time. I must take my leave, as I'm sure you can understand. Enjoy the rest of your evening. She gets up. She kind of gives Nightingale a nod, gives the other table a nod, and then she turns and makes her way out of the armored duck.
Will? Are you okay?
I don't know.
Say something, lad.
I just had to look up to see if Crimson Shiver was a bird, and I missed it this whole time, but it's not.
That would have been
Just two.
chef's kiss.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Crimson Parakeet,
Yeah.
the Assassin's Guild.
Nightingale will, take a few minutes, take his drink,
Crush both of the rums.
yeah, and look at Douglan and be like, Douglan, it's over. I will have no more worries about this assassin, the Crimson Shiver.
Well, that's good news.
It would seem that information has come up about Lord Baskill that has voided this contract.
Excellent.
And that's all she said.
I give you a big slap on the back. Oh, that's great news, lad.
It is a weight off my shoulders, Douglan, as I'm sure it is a weight off yours, as we seem to be tied at the hip from this point forward.
Yeah. It's just another hassle in the road. No worries.
Well, we have lots to celebrate. I'm a free man. He'll stand up and
He's like,
sit back down.
he's doing that
Oh,
dance that Snoop did.
Yep. He'll
Awesome.
look to Landis and Lafferty and be like, when the time's right, which isn't right now, I'll explain further, my friends. But for now, let's get out of this seedy hole, get back to the wandering giant where I can sit comfortably in his chair without feeling like I'm going to contract something. I don't know about you, but in a few moments I'll be drunk. These 2 shots I had are starting to kick in, so hurry up. Get me back to the giant. We can't hear you, Colin.
The Holy Mare rum is kicking in.
Oh, it worked.
Ouch. All right. Your bill is 1 gold piece, 5 silver. Whoever'd like to pay up.
It's okay, Simon will get it.
And Douglan takes full advantage of how happy Nightingale is and says, he's got it.
He's got this. We're only here because of him. He's got this.
What was the bill?
1 gold piece, 5 silver for 3 bees knees meads and 2 Holy Mare rums.
I'll give her 5 gold and a kiss.
Holy smokes.
Which turns into a peck of my beak.
Well, for 5 gold, she'll accept it.
I would too. We'll head
All right,
back.
gentlemen, I think at 11:58, this will be a good spot to put the pause button on the night. We can pick up here after Nightingale's very interesting interaction with Crimson Shiver.
That's funny.
Wow, what a turn.
Yeah.
Nightingale finally unclenches.
Oh, and a diamond falls out.
All right, I am going to end the stream, the session right there, and yeah, we'll call that a night. Thanks, guys. That was fantastic. Way to get back into it.
Yeah. We got so much. We left with a big question mark, and now we've just got 60 question marks.
I love it. All right, that's it.